Here's the snap. Chuba up the middle. Crashing. No signal, and now they signal. Touchdown, Carolina. A point after from tying it up. Chuba Hubbard fakes to Sanders. Rolling left. Throws. End zone. Touchdown. Xavier Legette, the first of his career. Pocket holds. Andy fires downfield. 1-6. Touchdown. End zone. Center cut. Diontae Johnson.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan on a Tuesday. I'm Tim Donnelly, producing the show as always, Dennis Cox. And it's time to update what we call the Dave Canales meter, the Dave Canales ranking. It's play on the DEFCON, right? It's threat level or concern level. Dave Canales is our threat level or our concern level with the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Dave Canales. And for those of you that don't recall, we choose this song even though it doesn't maybe fit the vibe because this is what Dave Canales sang for his rookie performance during training camp to the team in the team meeting room. I'm setting it to Dave Canales 3. It had gotten, by the way, I feel like I have to explain this every week because I know I got confused before we turned it into something. Dave Canales 1, like DEFCON 1, is the highest threat level. Dave Canales 5 is the lowest threat level, which feels reverse when you say it out loud, but that's the way it actually is, so we go with the way it should be. We're setting it at 3. There is a threat, but it's dropped significantly from a couple weeks ago when it was Dave Canales 1, when we were all hands on deck after week 2, as concerned as you could be for a coach, as concerned as you could be for a team. He's bounced back nicely. I don't put him all the way at no threat. I'm putting him all the way at no concern, and I'll explain why in a second. So first, let's talk about where he's grown. I think his in-game coaching has grown exponentially in the first month. I mean, we call him a toddler as a play caller, an infant as a head coach. In 4 weeks, I think his in-game coaching has grown a ton. I like his play calling as an improvement. Not every play call do I agree with. I think he's had some clunkers, but from game 1 to game 4, massive improvement. Even from how he worked Bryce Young into the game versus how he works Andy Dalton into the game. Different play calls, different players, different play calls. I liked his feel for when to take chances. I loved going for it on 4th down on the goal line on the opening drive. It didn't work out, so 20/20 hindsight would say, hey, don't do that. I would say, hey, call a different play. But I liked the idea to go for it.
Just don't do it from shotgun. If you're going to run the ball, go from under center.
Don't do it from shotgun.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it from shotgun, maybe something to the edges, maybe a throw, maybe a movement. I mean, there's a bunch of, it didn't work, so I'm not here saying he was 100% correct because that would be ridiculous.
I love the aggression and decision.
But the feel for when to take chances, the not terrified nature that some new head coaches get, which is we have a chance to get points. We have a chance to get points. Kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, go out there. It wasn't that. I love the fake punt call. Again, didn't work.
Yeah, you just got to catch the ball.
Got to catch the ball, or you got to, as a coach, have someone else in that role. Or I liked the feel for when to take chances. You can't be the guy that's, everybody knows you're going to get 2 special teams trick plays a game because then it becomes too much. But in that game, I felt like it made sense. Probably a little overmatched talent-wise by the Bengals. You thought you had to make up the difference, so you were being a little bit more risky. I like that. So in game, I like his development a lot. That's why we've lowered it from Dave Canales 1. It's not just about the final score. It's about the look of it. It's not just, hey, they won a game and they were in another. Let's tamper it down. It's more complicated than that. The reason why I'm not going all the way down to no concern is what was this season all about? At the beginning of the year, what was this season all about? The development of Bryce Young. Now, I'm not going to blame him, meaning blame Canales, if Bryce Young just didn't have it. But part of, I'm sure, the reason why he was brought in is because he was being tasked with fixing, revitalizing, rehabilitating, refurbishing, whatever you want to call it, Bryce Young. We still don't have a vision for quarterback. Dave Canales was brought in with the reputation as being the quarterback saver. He was like the bar rescue guy, only for quarterbacks. Right? I went into Geno Smith. And when I got there, their bartenders were pouring too much into the. If anyone's watched Bar Rescue, you know what's going on, right? The food was no good. The service was bad. The seats and the booths didn't make any sense. So we redid everything. And now look at Geno Smith. He's throwing for 1 billion yards on Monday Night Football. Then I went down to Tampa and Baker Mayfield, and he came in with all kinds of negative reputation. By the time I left, he was worth $100 million. And now I went to Bryce Young, and I'm going like, all right, that's your task. That's your goal. 4 games in, there's more confusion at quarterback than there was, meaning the future at quarterback. Beyond this season at quarterback, there's more confusion than there was at the beginning. So, yeah, I'm a little concerned about that. I'm a little concerned that it does appear as if Dave Canales' quarterback whispering reputation only applies to guys who are 29 and older. Because part of being the decision maker on a team, part of being the guy responsible for players' development is developing the quarterback of the future. So again, if you want to say it's all Bryce, fine. There's no way you know that for a fact. If you want to say it's all Bryce, fine. I'm still concerned that we haven't seen Dave Canales do it. I'm still concerned that he all offseason championed a quarterback and then 2 games in completely bailed on him. Because then if you're saying it's all Bryce, I'm saying why didn't Dave Canales recognize that? If it was that obvious that a guy wasn't willing to play, he still started him to open the season, still gave him all the 1 reps all training camp. So I look at Dave Canales when we're talking Def Canales meter and say he's playing the part of a head coach better. He's leading the team on game day better. I love the fact that they responded to adversity. That was one of my concerns for Dave Canales coming into the year because the guy is like the high optimism, high energy. Everybody's happy. Everybody's loving the day. Everybody's ready to play football. That's his MO. So I was worried, hey, like, does that still play when things are going bad? Things went really bad. He helped turn it around. I like that.
I feel great about playing football right now.
But we still don't know the vision for quarterback. We still don't know the vision for quarterback. It's kind of like you brought someone in to do a job and he's doing a different job, but he's kind of doing it well. I always use the example of Brian Billick when he took over head coach of the Ravens. He was the offensive coordinator in Minnesota. Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Randall Cunningham, just unbelievable, explosive offense. He goes and he becomes the head coach of the Ravens, and they win with almost no offense and an elite defense.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, well, that's not why we brought you here, but I like what you did. Dave Canales came in as the quarterback whisperer. He was the quarterback rehab guy. He's the guy that takes the quarterback that didn't work under other coaches and makes him work. And then he showed up and was like, well, the first thing we have to do is I'm going to get rid of the quarterback and I'm not going to rehab him. I'm just going to go to the veteran and then we're going to make, Xavier Legette look better and we're going to make Diontae Johnson look better. And I'm going like, well, okay. I don't dislike that. That's just that wasn't the assignment you were brought here for, right? It's like, okay, you turned Ray Lewis into a Hall of Famer. Awesome, Brian Billick. You won a Super Bowl, but where's Randy Moss? You know what I mean? You did it with Trent Dilfer. So I'm still concerned about the thing that he was asked to do because, and as Brian Billick learned, eventually you need an offense, right? Because you can only trade off of a Super Bowl led by one of the most dominant defenses in the history of the game for so long until eventually you're in the booth, which you don't hope for Dave Canales. When I say in the booth, I mean broadcast, which is, again, what you hope for doesn't happen to Dave Canales.
I mean, Canales has turned that culture of that team around, which I think is a major part of what he's been doing. 100% has turned the culture of that team around. Compared to what it was last year?
I just don't know if I attribute all of that to Dave Canales.
I mean,
I
do.
I think a lot of it is Dan Morgan and who they chose to bring in.
Well,
I think a
yeah.
lot. Yeah.
I mean, it's the two of them together, but I mean, Dan Morgan ain't in the locker room.
No. I'm impressed with Dave Canales. I'm not overweighing the question marks with the good nearly yet. We are a month into the first season. And, you know, the win on week 3 is still pretty fresh. I want to see what this team looks like when the win in week 3 is 7 weeks in the background. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, Tim Donnelly here for Miller Lending, home of the no-cost loan. And you know, no-cost loan, I try to emphasize that there's no hidden tricks here. There's no smoke and mirrors. It's no closing cost means we take the closing costs and we put them somewhere else and you're still paying them. No closing costs means no closing costs. Gordon Miller's been doing it for decades. Miller Lending's been doing it since they arrived in the Triangle. Another point I want to emphasize, owned and operated right here in Cary. This is a locally owned mortgage lender, which is something I think a lot of people are looking for. You're not calling someone up who's somewhere far away when they answer the phone. You call up Miller Lending, you're getting someone locally, and you can always just drive to Cary, talk to them face to face. It's the no closing cost loans, gives you versatility, obviously saves you some money in your pocket right now, and allows you to adapt to the changing market. If rates continue to drop, continue to refi, and don't worry about the costs coming out of your pocket. So stop by, say hi, and ask about the no closing cost loans. The phone number to call, 919-447-3377. That's 919-447-3377. Or you can visit them online at millerlending.com. Once again, that is millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, and MLS number 250-2146. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, what does Duke football have to do to get a little love? 5-0 not good enough for you people? Stick around. Pack Therapy is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. It's Tim Donnelly from 99.9 The Fan alongside legendary Wolfpack play caller Mike Lennon.
Every episode of Pack Therapy is your chance to get dialed in with inside information on your team.
We'll set you up for every Wolfpack game all season long.
And we'll break down every contest, what went right and what could have worked better.
Plus, special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Dauntless Transmissions in Raleigh is hiring. If you're an ASE certified automotive technician looking to make good money, have a guaranteed 40-hour work week, and get paid every Friday, check out this opportunity. Dauntless Transmissions is a small family-owned shop with a quality-first attitude in need of technicians with experience doing minor engine work. Happy to train the right candidate further on transmissions. If you're ready to be appreciated and duly compensated for your automotive abilities, call or apply now at dauntlesstransmissions.com.
We want to invite you to Atlantic Spas and Billiards to bring more relaxation, wellness, and fun to your home. Sit in a hot tub from Hot Spring or Caldera, relax in a hot sauna from Finleo, or swim in our showroom in our endless pool. We have a fully stocked game room showroom with darts, ping pong, foosball, air hockey, pool tables, and more. Everything we sell for your home, from hot tubs to grills, from saunas to pool tables, promotes relaxation, wellness, and fun. Atlantic Spas and Billiards on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh and Market Street in Wilmington, AtlanticSBNC.com.
Tim Donnelly here, making sure that you don't miss out on having one of the coolest, most elegant watch brands on your wrist. Now, hopefully you already know all about the Fox & Bailey Watch Shop located inside Bailey's Fine Jewelry at their Village District location. But next time you're in there to check out the latest timepieces, don't miss the Glashütte Original Watch Company display. This is one of the most elegant, most classy, most sophisticated watch brands on the planet, and they now have multiple offerings from their Senator collection, their Pano collection, and much, much more, all inside Bailey's Fine Jewelry. Their Pano collection, we're talking asymmetrical dials with off-center displays, something with a little character. Their Senator collection, that's where you're going to find the classics, including moon phases, perpetual calendars, and more. Check it out. It's all at Bailey's Fine Jewelry, located inside their Village District location in Raleigh.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Here's a shotgun snap, looking downfield, has time, goes to the check down, Star Thomas on the left, 30, 25, down the sideline, Thomas, touchdown! What a run! And the Blue Devils are in the end zone.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. What does Duke have to do? There's a great scene in Coach Carter, the Samuel L. Jackson movie, where he gets mad at his team for celebrating, right? They're getting dunks in games, and then they're hitting their little, it's almost like a touchdown dance. And the end of the screaming is, since when is winning not enough? Why isn't winning enough for Duke? 5-0. No love for Duke football. I think partially they're hated on because people just can't wrap their brains around Duke football, and without, I don't know, a direct pointing to somebody like Riley Leonard, who everybody kind of rallies behind like they have the last two years. ESPN has taken to putting out each week in college football a ranking of the undefeated teams remaining. And the funny part is, every week, the number of teams that are undefeated remaining shrinks, right? It goes from 26 last week to 19 this week. It'll be less next week. And every single time, Duke is like third to the bottom. And then a bunch of people above them lose, and they stay down there. Duke is ranked 16th in the best undefeated teams in the country by ESPN out of 19 unbeatens. 16th out of 19. You may go, hey, they're above a few. They're only ahead of 2 service academies and Liberty. Army, Navy, and Liberty. That's it. And the funny part is, the little description explains my exact issue with them being where they are. They tear apart the offense. Laboring to score 21 on UNC was certainly a hint as to why the Blue Devils won't be unbeaten for much longer. The offense isn't good. Flamed them. So I'm going, all right, look at the next sentence. But the defense has immediately become a Diaz defense, meaning Manny Diaz. Duke is allowing just 16.2 points per game. That's top 30 nationally. And 4.1 yards per play. That's 7th nationally. And the Blue Devils are making a ton of disruptive plays. That's a great defense. That is a great defense. If you have something that talented to stand on, if you have something that productive to stand on, how in the world are you seen as, fluky 5-0? Not very good, 5-0. Look at the stats. Yeah, look at the stats. Matter of fact, if you want to say the offense is bad and all these advanced, cool. The stats are what the stats are. I get that. But the eye test and the improvement is what I am impressed by. Right? Sure, their offense is bad, but guess what? If you want to take it from the angle they took it as, the offense isn't nearly as good as the defense. I'll put it that way. Each of the 4 or 5 games they've played, there's been reasons to think they're getting better. And that's worth it. That's worth something in college football. Star Thomas, what did he go? He went 100 yards, 100 yards, 100 yards on the ground. And the last one, he did over 100 yards in the last quarter and a half just to splash the pot a little, make it a little more sizzly. Now here's the real kicker. We're not asking for the world here. I'm not arguing, hey, in these lists, by the way, the Athletic put out a list, top 10 most surprisingly good teams ranked by how good they are. Again, Duke, 8th. And on both lists, they're behind teams like James Madison, who, sure, they absolutely rocked UNC.
Mm-hmm.
They also scored 13 points against Gardner-Webb.
And barely beat Charlotte.
Rutgers is above them on both lists. I know people like Greg Schiano, but why isn't Manny Diaz getting that love? UNLV, who granted has played well, but they've got drama. I just wanted to point that out. They're not nearly as cohesive a locker room as Duke is, and that matters. Pitt in the ACC is above them on both lists. Come on.
By the way, Duke did not even get one vote in the AP Top 25.
Which I believe there's only been two of in two Power 4 or Power 5 at the time conference teams to start 5-0 and not get a vote in the AP Top 25 in the history. One of them went on to, I don't know, I think they won 11 games. One went on to win 8. It's you know, I had this question. I was on with the show previous to this one every weekday here on 99.9 The Fan with Adam Gold. And this was Thursday or Friday, and he asked, like, all right, who do you have, Duke or UNC? And I literally said, you can go find the podcast. I said, looking at it, I think UNC has some advantages here, like on the roster, but I have to believe what my eyes are telling me, and that is Duke is the better football team. Does it take 5 weeks for you to say, okay, you know, the team that I'm seeing on the field every single week is different from the team that I thought was showing up? Because I get it. Like, if you think a team is terrible going into the season, and by the way, Duke was picked preseason to finish 11th in the ACC. If you think a team is a back half of the ACC team and they play well in week 1 and 2, I get you saying, like, all right, well, I still want to see more of it. All right, I still want to see more of it. They won 5 times. They beat a Big Ten school, Northwestern, not the biggest and scariest, but they beat a Big Ten school. Right? They beat UConn. They beat UNC. They're not all pushovers. Maybe not the scariest lineup in the world, but a win is a win. All you can do is play the teams that are on your schedule. I'm not arguing to put them over Ohio State. I'm not arguing to put them over Alabama. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying, like, give them the also receiving votes category.
Yeah, give them a little respect here.
Give them just the quintessential mention. I always call it the Bill Russell mention, because anytime people start talking about who's the greatest basketball player of all time, there's someone loudly arguing for Michael Jordan. There's someone loudly arguing for LeBron. There's a few loudly arguing for like maybe someone like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic, or Bird. And then there's always one person that just goes, well, if we're talking championships, it's Bill Russell. And everybody goes like, thank you for acknowledging. We all acknowledge the presence of Bill Russell in the discussion. Now we're going to go back over here and keep arguing about these ones. Like, just give Duke the, you know, who's impressing a lot. They're pretty good. They're 5-0. Duke. All right, we have acknowledged Duke's presence. They have gotten their good thumbs up. Now we can go back to arguing about whoever else you want to argue about. Dwayne in Raleigh is on the phone line, the Heaster Automotive Group hotline. He's called in early, 919-860-5326. I just mean early in the show, not early like it was scheduled. Dwayne, thank you for calling in. What do you have to add to our conversation?
Hey, guys. Thank you all for taking my call. So this is Dwayne the Seminole, just for clarification. You probably can tell what's coming. It's not in my DNA to really empathize with Duke fans, but I tell you when winning's not enough. When you're the 2023 Florida State Seminoles, it just wasn't enough. And, yeah, it's still bitter. I'm still bitter, and it still hurts. Just wanted to put that out there.
Appreciate the call. Do you know how I know last year really stung Florida State fans? They've been stung 1,000 times this year, and the one last year is still the one they're calling in about. They've been watching DJ Uyunglele's led offense this year, and they're still going, you know what really hurt? Last year. No, but I mean, if you're not going to get an argument from me. Last year I went on a billion rants about how Florida State should have been in the college football playoff, and ironically, this is 1 year after that'll never happen again. If you win the ACC, you get to go to the college football playoff. So timing is everything, I guess would be the answer there.
Tell them to stop suing the ACC.
I mean, At this point, it's kind of hilarious that they keep suing the ACC and bad-mouthing the ACC. Then they get stomped by one of the new ACC teams.
Yeah.
Then they get run over by Georgia Tech, and all these other things happen. So
by one of the schools that's bringing down the level of the ACC.
Exactly.
Like, no, you are.
It's like now it's just I'm going to enjoy your suffering here a little bit. If you dropped the suit, then I'd be forced to like welcome you back into the cool kids club. And
Would we?
I'm a big conference allegiance guy. If they're all in, I'm all in with them. But for right now, I'm enjoying rooting against them. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, here's Dennis Cox.
Hey, Dennis Cox here with my friends over at Law Tigers. Hope everyone out there is staying safe. I know the weather, has been crazy over the last few weeks. I know for myself, I have not been able to get on the motorcycle for about 2.5 weeks now. But I know when I hop back on the bike here soon, I got to do all the things necessary to make sure I'm safe when getting on the bike. I got to check all my gear. My helmet in proper working order, my riding boots, all my protective gear that I wear. Is everything working in proper order? I got to make sure I do that before I get on the bike. Is my bike in proper working order? All these things about being prepared. We always talk about in sports, preparation. It's no different. It's no different when hopping on a motorcycle. And this is where Law Tigers also comes in. If you are injured in a motorcycle accident, call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. Insurance companies, they want to pay you the least amount of money possible. Law Tigers, they're riders too. They understand what your bike is worth. They understand what your gear is worth. They understand what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and they do not get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Last night I was watching Monday Night Football, and as always, I'm looking for nuggets and things to pick up and apply to the Panthers, and I think I found a few. I think specifically the quarterbacks in the doubleheader on Monday Night Football can teach us something for the Panthers. Stick around.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Any win early in the season for the Jets is consequential. Think about what a hot mess they were last year. This is them proving to themselves that they can get it together, that they can be a functional franchise, that they can be a functional offense and have a functional quarterback. We have not seen this from the New York Jets in a long time.
Unsportsmanlike. Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
Hey, football fans, kick the excitement into overtime with a Pro Football No Sweat token, courtesy of BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. I'm Victoria Vodnecker here for BetMGM, and all you need to do is log into your account today to receive your Pro Football No Sweat token. Then apply that token to your next Pro Football wager. If your bet loses, you'll receive your wager back as bonus bets. That's right, even if your bet doesn't make it across the goal line, you'll receive your wager back as bonus bets. bets. Bet with confidence all season long with BetMGM, your home for the best pro football action and much more. Log in today to get your BetMGM Pro Football No Sweat token. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only, North Carolina only. Existing customer offers subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
A torn ACL, stress fracture, aching back, a hip that's had it, life on hold, and all you want is to get it back. Enter Wake Orthopedics. Our fellowship-trained orthopedists do it all. General, sports, pediatric, joint replacement, fractures, spine, prevention, advanced diagnostics, progressive treatments, minimally invasive procedures, surgeries, and more. Visit wakemed.org/wakeortho and get back your life.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Jordan Matthews, the motion man. Play fake. Young fires over the middle, and that's intercepted. The Saints pick it off. Miscommunication, and New Orleans brings it to the 40-yard line of Carolina.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Last night was a weird night for NFL football. Weird night. I don't. Is there some kind of like mandatory setup where if they have two Monday Night Football games, one of them is going to be darn near unwatchable, and then the other is going to be wildly entertaining?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the plan.
Last night, the Miami game, yowzers. When it became Tyler Huntley versus Mason Rudolph early in the game, and I went, all right, we're here, aren't we?
Steelers legend Mason Rudolph.
We got you. And Ravens legend Tyler Huntley. Maybe there's a rivalry there that we missed.
Exactly.
Ravens Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley.
Gosh, yeah, because that's a thing.
But as always, I'm watching. I watched both games, right? I dual screened it, so I was trying to keep up. Obviously, your eyes wander towards the Lions-Seahawks game a lot more because, quite frankly, it's just more exciting. But you'd also occasionally look over and see Tyreek Hill running open downfield, get overthrown, or you'd see Mason Rudolph doing his darndest to get a drop off to Tony Pollard or whoever it was. And I had these thoughts about quarterbacks. And then, I'm taking notes for the show. I went, oh gosh, we're back here. We're back here for the Panthers. And what I mean by that is you have to start looking around the league and trying to figure out what makes quarterbacks work and what makes quarterbacks not work, because you're going to be in the market for a quarterback again in the next, I would say, maximum 2 years, probably this offseason. Whether it's a free agent, whether it's another veteran bridge, whether it's in the draft. So I'm looking at these situations and I'm going, all right, how did these four teams get here? Two teams that look like they have something figured out. Two teams that very much look like they do not have something figured out at the quarterback spot. And my mind went right to Miami. I went, how in the world did Miami get to where they are right now? They had Tua Tagovailoa, a guy with a noted, and noted is an understatement, noted injury history, and as soon as he got hurt, they didn't have nearly a good enough backup plan. Chris Canty of Unsportsmanlike, you can hear him every morning right here, 99.9 The Fan, talked about that exact fact for the Dolphins.
Deal with the pain of losing a lot this year so you can have the opportunity to draft a better alternative to Tua that's
Chris Canty was talking there. Do we have the other one? We do. I'm getting a nod. All right. So as Dennis gets that rolling, all right, I got the thumbs up. Before I get to my next point, here's Chris Canty.
I think Mike McDaniel is a good head coach even without Tua. I do. Where I think it's fair to criticize Mike McDaniel and the front office for the Miami Dolphins is for not having a better plan for backup quarterback than the one that they had throughout the offseason. I don't put what I saw on Snoop Huntley last night. I put that on Mike McDaniel. I put that on the front office, and I put that on the supporting cast for not being a lot better.
I tend to agree. Tyler Huntley got there like a week ago. That's tough. But Miami believed they were a contender, and they had nobody behind, too. I know Skylar Thompson was in there, but he didn't look much better before he got injured. So I juxtapose that with the Panthers. The Panthers, I don't believe, could realistically have thought they were a contender coming into this year. And they have a really good backup quarterback. Or I guess he's the starter now. But in the plans, he was the backup quarterback in Andy Dalton. To me, when you're building your team, as you figure out if you're a contender or not, as you're trying to build towards being a contender, backup quarterback is something you can maybe do without. Right? If you're going from hey, we're trying to win 8 or 9 games, and then your starter gets hurt. All right, we won 6. That's kind of a blessing in disguise once your starter gets hurt. I mean, that's not the blessing, but the disguise is there. Meanwhile, if you're a contender and you think you're already there and you're already paying wide receivers one of the highest paid contracts in the entire NFL, and you already have defensive players making a bunch of money, and you already have everything you think's in place, that's when you should go spend on the backup quarterback, because that's when, if a guy gets hurt and you lose 4 games, it's not a blessing in disguise. It's just a terrible season. The Dolphins need Andy Dalton. And if they had Andy Dalton, they would be loving life. They would have won that game last night by 3 scores. Meanwhile, the Panthers have Andy Dalton, and there's a world where he wins like 6 games, which would be exciting for fans, but also would cost them like 9 picks in the draft. And as far as their eventual quarterback, if there is one this draft, light year, but we'll see. There's like a give and a take there. I was absolutely stunned that the Titans and the Dolphins offenses looked similar as far as preparedness for their starter to get hurt. Because the Titans, rolling Mason Rudolph out there, no disrespect to Mason Rudolph, what season are they protecting?
He's a serviceable backup quarterback.
Like, Will Levis gets hurt. They're not saying, like, hey, we need to win 3 of these 4 to keep our spot atop the division. Mm-hmm. They're saying, put Mason in there. We'll continue to evaluate everybody else, and if we win a game, great. Meanwhile, the Dolphins are in win-now mode. They're in like, hey, we need to go compete with the Bills at the top of the division. We need to make sure the Jets don't pass us in the division. They're in win-now mode. And they lose their starter with a noted history, they look like the Patriots. And I'm talking about the Patriots before they put in Drake May. So one thing to learn that I thought the Panthers could learn from is, Andy Dalton is what, $7-8 million a year? I think that might have been some money they could spend elsewhere. As fun as it is, and as good as winning feels, as a GM, you got to think in 5-10-year chunks, not like 5-10-week chunks.
Andy Dalton signed a 2-year, $10 million contract with the Panthers.
$5 million. What's his cap hit? Do you know? Is it right there on the same page? You don't have to look it up. I was just curious. $5 million. You could go
like 5.8.
5.8. Could be another wide receiver. Could be another tackle. Could be a guard to replace Damian Lewis when he gets hurt. Could be an edge rusher. That's more than DJ Wanham's making. Let's get to the fun game. The other game is the Seattle Detroit game. And that one I think is even more interesting for the Panthers. Because what happens when the Panthers, when anybody strikes out on one path? Like you hey, we need to fix this, and you try option A, and option A goes horrendous. Like you end up trading away unbelievably more than you should, and then the player shows up and lasts 18 starts. You probably go, I don't want to go down path A again. Right? I'll be wrong somewhere else, and that'll make me feel a little bit better. I don't want to go down path A again. So there's a good chance David Tepper or the Panthers might not want to draft another guy super high, right? They might not want to especially trade up to draft a quarterback, which means they're going to be shopping in a different aisle this offseason, the either retread or high-priced free agent aisle. So I'm watching this Detroit Lions game. Jared Goff, and I do not say this like jokingly or even with exaggeration, he was perfect. He went 18 for 18 for 200 and something yards, long touchdowns, short touchdowns, caught a touchdown. The guy played a nearly flawless game. You take away the safety that he took, and it's a nearly flawless game. Jared Goff was asked if he ever had a game with no incompletions.
Never. I don't think I've ever done it. I knew I did it in the first half last week, so I was aware of it then. And I was kind of aware of it today, about the middle of the third quarter. I was like, I couldn't think of one, but then I threw the one out of bounds that ended up being offensive pass interference. And I was like, does that count? I didn't know if that counted. I didn't know if that counted or not. But yeah, it's a good day.
It's unbelievable. The crazy part was on the other side, Geno Smith's day was overshadowed by Jared Goff's day. Geno Smith has now been in the league for a while. This is his, third year starting for Seattle. Obviously had his runs with the Jets and Giants early in his career. Career high in yards per game, career high in attempts in a game, not per game. Career high in yards in a single game, attempts in a single game, completions in a single game. Jared Goff was perfect. Geno Smith was very good. And it led me to this question. Can quarterbacks just be good on their next team now? Can quarterbacks, there was some force field that was blocking them from being good on the next team after they're a quote-unquote bust for their previous team, and it just never happened. One of the people that opened my eyes to this was Ryan Russillo. Many of you will remember him from his SVP and Russillo days with Scott Van Pelt on ESPN Radio. Now he does work with The Ringer. And anytime he was talking quarterbacks, anytime he was talking about the Zach Wilsons, the Sam Darnolds, the any of these quarterbacks that were drafted high and then traded for someone else that was going to fix them, he would just go, I challenge you to come up with anyone that was a first-round pick, flamed out, and then left and found success elsewhere. And he would reference that often. It was one of Ryan Russillo's pet theories, right? He just kept coming back to it, and it always came back to the same name, and it was Ryan Tannehill. I'm getting my Ryans confused. Ryan Tannehill with the Titans, kind of. Right? It was I wouldn't say a fully correct answer, but you're getting partial credit. And that's always where the conversation ended. And I used that as part of my knowledge of the NFL, right? The best indicator of past or future results is past results. So I'm going, if it's never happened before, I was never excited for Sam Darnold with the Panthers. I was never excited for Baker Mayfield with the Panthers. I was never excited for these guys to get another shot somewhere else. But suddenly you look up this season, and Jared Goff, he's leading the Lions, big new contract, looking great. One of his first early completions. Were you watching this game, Dennis?
I watched some of it. Yeah,
he did the unnecessary 360 in the pocket. Mm-hmm. He just spun around like a rat in a maze with all dead ends, and then completed a pass downfield on a big conversion. And I was just, all right, he's feeling himself. Got a little scattered and then collected himself. Geno Smith's playing really well for Seattle. Baker Mayfield's playing really well for Tampa. Sam Darnold's playing really well for Minnesota. Justin Fields is playing pretty darn well for your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
All of these guys, at one point or another, some very loudly from just about every direction, were called busts for the teams that drafted them highly. It's not like a Matt Stafford leaving Detroit where it's like, hey, he found success elsewhere. It's like, well, he wasn't a bust for Detroit. They paid him $200 million over 12 years, and then he left. Those guys were all busts. That's very good news for a few people. Very good news for for Bryce Young. I'm getting my Panthers kind of retreads confused. It's very good news for Bryce Young. There's a point in time where if you were Kyle Bowler, if you were Jamarcus Russell, if you were any of these, Brandon Weeden, if you were any of these guys that were drafted highly and you didn't work out at your first location, kind of your next career move was, hopefully I can end up a 10-year backup. Right? Blake Bortles, Blaine Gabbert. These guys are all drafted top half of the first round. Doesn't work out. They stuck around in the league for a long time, but they never really found the success elsewhere. Now guys are finding the success elsewhere. Bryce Young is hopefully now Tell me if you can keep up with this reference. He gets to be the kind of little brother recruit.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is a lot of times quarterbacks, pitchers, right, there's certain genetic things that lend towards you being really good at that position. So there might be, an older brother and a younger brother that are both pretty good recruits, right? Good high school players. This is how I've seen it break down a few times. There's kind of three ways this works. One is player goes somewhere, older brother goes somewhere, is the starter, is a star, loves it, and a lot of times they turn around and tell the little brother, just come here, it's awesome. You see that with like Taulia Tagovailoa going to Alabama. You see that with, it happens a bunch. Then there's this other thing happens, which is a older brother goes somewhere and recognizes, oh, I didn't prioritize the right things in deciding where to go to my college. No disrespect to their program, but they recognize, I should have gone to a system that I was more familiar with. I should have gone to somewhere with, maybe I should have paid more attention to the other kids in my recruiting class or what type of wide receivers they had or whatever it is. So they turn around to their little brother and they say, hey, don't come here, but you need to prioritize these three things. When you are first into the NFL, somebody like Bryce Young, somebody like Geno Smith, somebody like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, you don't have any say over where you go, right? It's the draft. So you just kind of show up and you think, I'm so awesome, I'm going to make the Jets work. I'm so awesome, I'm going to make the Panthers work. And it does or it doesn't, right? You're either C.J. Stroud and it turns around or it doesn't. I think what should happen next is you look around and go, all right, what I needed to have success wasn't here. Let me figure out what I need to have success and then go chase that for the next chance I take in my career. Right? Somebody like Sam Darnold may have said, you know what? I need a true offensive head coach. Where's Kevin O'Connell? Right? Because he went to Shanahan first and probably said, ooh, I like this relationship. I like having the head coach with the play caller. Let me go look for that again. Finds it in Minnesota. Then luck of the draw, injury happens. He gets a chance. He looks great. Justin Fields. Justin Fields went to Chicago. He was supposed to be the savior. Maybe he was like, you know what I need? I need a coach that doesn't mess around. I need a coach that understands defense and running the football is fantastic, and then I can sprinkle in my special athletic ability when I need to. I don't need to go somewhere where they're expecting every 3rd and 12 to be a 14-yard run, me one-on-one against the world. That's good news that these guys are finding the situations that they can be successful in. Now Bryce Young has to do the hard work. He has to look at himself in the mirror and say, what do I need to be the next Justin Fields? What do I need to be the next Baker, Jared Goff? And then go search for that. And then get them to trade a bunch to the Panthers. Because that's the other person that it's good for, the Panthers. There's now when they go into negotiations and people are going, we're not going to give you up anything for them. Nobody ever figures it out at their next stop. The Panthers are going to go, what are you talking about? 3 guys, or he would be the 3rd guy that we couldn't make it work with, that's going to go work somewhere else. Matter of fact, I think he's more likely to be successful for you because he found out every which way not to do it with us. The quarterback world is changing. And I'm just going to make a few more it comes from David Thompson on Twitter. Derek Thompson, excuse me, who is a athletic writer. Quarterback is changing in front of our brains, right in front of our eyes. Through 4 weeks this year, the highest quarterback completion rate ever. Also, lowest average yards per catch ever. This is across all passes thrown in the NFL. Also, fewest interceptions per game ever. Highest sack rate in 32 years. Fewest passing yards per game in 21 years. The passing game is getting more and more and more, and I hate to use this term, dummy-proof. It's becoming more and more and more, take the short one, take the short one, take the short one. If you don't like what you see, don't force it. Take the sack. We'll live to play another day. And the entire league is moving that way. I think it's easier to shoehorn guys with just a little bit of experience into those roles than it is 10 years ago where you had to be dropping back and letting it rip. I mean, those are not stats that are like insignificant. Highest quarterback completion percentage in the history of the NFL, and also fewest passing yards in 21 years. I'd love to see the quarterbacks that were leading the league in passing in 2000 and whatever that would be, 2003. Whew. Probably Garrard and Brunell and all these other, they're both with the Jags. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Quickly here, let's put on our tinfoil hats. Let's get to a little conspiracy theory. I saw a ton of tinfoil hat conspiracies regarding the ACC and the Miami Hurricanes over the weekend. For those of you that didn't watch the Friday night game between Virginia Tech and Miami, Virginia Tech appeared to have beaten Miami on a Hail Mary. Refs turned around, overturned that final touchdown, said it was incomplete. It was a tough call. Tough call to like overturn a play that decides the game without a super obvious replay reason. Right? It took them I think someone timed it as a little over 5.5 minutes of looking at the review. Then they came out and said they had clear and obvious, irrefutable evidence that it was not a catch. And I'm going like, I don't know. If it was that obvious, I think it probably would have taken you less than 5.5 minutes of watching the same replay over and over and over and over and over again.
Sure about that?
It becomes worse, and it feeds the conspiracy theories when you realize, and I said it on Friday, how important it is for the ACC that the 7th-ranked Miami Hurricanes keep winning, because they're the best chance of, having a decently high seed in the college football playoff, and on and on and on. I'm going to say this, and I say this occasionally. I refuse to believe any of the major sports are rigged, because it's implausible just from a logistics standpoint. I'm not saying there's not some people running the show that wouldn't like to rig a game. I'm saying there's too many people that would have to know. There's too many possible weak links. Do you realize how much they'd be risking if they made that quiet call to the official? Hey, call it incomplete. You don't know who's listening on the phones. The referee would have, you'd have to keep that guy paid up forever. Imagine the referee. All right, boss, got it. Week later, come back. Hey, I'm going to need $100,000. Why? Because I'm going to write a book. Because it's there's too many weak links. It's never going to happen. And as soon as that is revealed once, as soon as one person reveals one form of rigging anything, it's over. It's a wrap. The ACC would be done. It's not happening. I will give you this, though. Virginia Tech fans and fans of the ACC that are anti-Miami Hurricanes, you have a real argument that you got jobbed. You have a real argument that it's just, to me, a bad call, but it's a bad call. I don't think it's some symptom of a greater, bigger, ridiculous conspiracy to hold down the Hokies and prop up the Hurricanes. But it was a really bad call that held down the Hokies and propped up the Hurricanes. Trying to be a solutions guy, not just problems guy. One of the things I try to do. I think on any play where the clock expires during the play, they should have a sign. I'm thinking it's like the 30-second timeout sign from basketball. Just tap your shoulders. And it means I'm not calling a touchdown. I'm not calling a catch. I'm not calling an incomplete. I'm not calling an interception. I'm calling, let's go look at the replay. And the reason for that is, in the absence of irrefutable evidence, you go with the call on the field. And I don't see why, hey, that guy had to pick one, so he picked touchdown. So now if there's no great angles, you lean towards that, when I think you should be able to, in the absence of irrefutable evidence, you should still go with your best guess, which I think is what the refs did. The refs went and watched the film, watched the tape over and over and over again and say, I think it's my best guess that it was incomplete. That shouldn't be enough to overturn a call. But also, I think your best guess should be the one that works. So Virginia Tech got jobbed. Miami got propped up. I hear you. I think from now on, if there's a play at the end of a game, like when refs run in there and you see the two refs look at each other and you can tell they're both looking at it going, I don't know, you make the call. I don't know, you make the call. And then eventually one of them just, it's like bumping into somebody in the hallway. You both go right, you both go left, then you step back. And eventually someone just forcefully goes to the right and says, all right, perfect. Now we can walk. Eventually a ref just throws their hands up. Touchdown. It's like, well, now that gets to be like the default. I don't know if that's fair. So instead, Throw a little 30-second timeout, go look at the replay, come out and answer the bell. That's a solution, not just a problem. ACC probably won't do it, though, because, well, if you ask me, they won't do it because it makes sense. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. When we come back, should the Panthers trade Diontae Johnson? If the Chiefs call, should they trade Diontae Johnson? Should they trade Adam Thielen if the Patriots call? We'll answer that coming up next. Stick around.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
The Blue Devils up 21-20, and they got their arms reaching for that bell.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Med, Sammy's Tap and Grill, and Roofworks.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $200 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bet. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Terms and conditions apply.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Homeowners, listen up. The Fed has taken action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto has followed suit by lowering mortgage rates big time. Hey, it's Dennis Cox for Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.59% APR, the lowest in 2 years. Whether you got your loan last month or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto and dump that high-rate loan. You can lock in a lower rate with virtually no paperwork and usually no appraisal. There's no limit on how many times you can refi, so get started. Even if you're in process with another lender, give Loan Pronto a call. If you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Purchase loans available as well, so call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Martha was ready to switch to a career in IT.
There's always a need for IT specialists, especially with AI coming out and cybersecurity. It's practically recession-proof.
My Computer Career even provides job placement help.
The career specialists, they're very helpful. They care about you as a person. You're not just a number to them. I would recommend My Computer Career wholeheartedly to anyone.
Take the free career evaluation today. Become an IT pro in just months with 0 experience at mycomputercareer.edu. This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. We still have a chance of an isolated shower or thunderstorm this afternoon. We'll see variably cloudy skies, and our highs will be in the upper 70s. Mid-60s tonight and mostly cloudy. A little patchy fog tomorrow morning, but becoming partly cloudy with highs in the upper 70s.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones is down 182 points to 42,145.
Let's move the chains. Time for Football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The Panthers have to consider trading one or both of Adam Thielen and Diontae Johnson. Have to. I hope you all caught on to, I hope you caught on to something I did there. It's a very sports media trick. I said they have to consider. I didn't say they have to do it, right? It's when a coach says so-and-so is our starter right now. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. But they do have to consider it. They do. And I'm genuinely saying they should actually bring it to the meeting room and figure it out. But before we get there, we have something serious we want to update you on, something important we want to update you on. As many of you know, our friends, our neighbors, our fellow state members, right, sharing our state here in North Carolina, need help after Hurricane Helene, and we're stepping up. Tomorrow, 99.9 The Fan, the station you're listening to right now, will be joining WRAL and all of our colleagues over there for an all-day telethon from 6 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. This is tomorrow, Wednesday, October 2nd. You'll be able to call in and donate to aid recovery efforts across North Carolina. Together, we can make a difference. In the meantime, to make an immediate $10 donation to support American Red Cross efforts in Western Carolina, text Helene, that is Helene. I'll say that slower. It felt like there was a lot of E's there. HELENE to 90999. Again, that is 90999. If you text Helene to 90999. I'm struggling through this one. The important part is that that'll be a $10 donation to support American Red Cross efforts in Western Carolina. And tomorrow, beginning at 6 a.m., and we'll be joining WRAL for an all-day telethon to raise money. Execution poor, message important. So on my delivery of that information, not the best, but hopefully message was received by all of you because that is the most important part. Now let's get back into football at 4. The Panthers have to consider it, and it's being talked about, which is the reason why we bring it up. There is, surprisingly, I think, because, there's, this feeling in the NFL that wide receivers are a dime a dozen, that every year they're more ready coming out of college, they're ready to contribute right away, and let's just go ahead and bring in another stud from, 23-year-old super stud. And then all of a sudden you get to this point in the season and there's a bunch of teams out there going, you know what we really need? We need wide receiver help.
We need one of those guys.
Yeah. The Chiefs, couple injuries. Suddenly they need wide receiver help. The Patriots need wide receiver help. You go around the league. Who knows what's going on with Devontae Adams, who's hinting and there's rumblings in both directions that maybe he'll be on the trade block, in which case the Raiders need wide receiver help. There's a ton, right? And people are starting to look at the Panthers and going, you know what? That passing offense, led by Andy Dalton, there might be some pieces there we could scavenge. And Diontae Johnson and Adam Thielen's name keep coming up. Now, start with the obvious. I truly don't believe there's anyone untouchable on this roster. I think it's tough to trade Derek Brown because his value is going to be low right now due to the injury. So you're probably not getting an offer that you would accept. But I don't think there is no Luke Kuechly, Peppers, Cam, somebody who you pick up the phone and they go, so is so-and-so, click, click. You don't have many of those, if any of those, on the roster. But even so part of it is you have to consider Thielen and Diontae, but that's a cop-out and just say, well, you have to consider everybody. Even more so, you have to consider everyone that isn't under contract beyond this year. Diontae Johnson's contract is up at the end of this season. You have to ask a serious question for Diontae Johnson. And I don't know if you bring him in and you sit him down next to Dan Morgan and let Dan Morgan stare at him. Right? Dan Morgan take off those thick-rimmed glasses and really give him the old school middle linebacker staring down the quarterback and then go, are you willing to re-sign with us? Because if the answer is legitimately no, let us get something for you before we lose you for nothing this offseason. And then you hear something like this from Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday talking about wide receivers that could be moved. And listen to how he deals with Diontae Johnson.
Adam Thielen, Diontae Johnson. Diontae Johnson's in the last year of his contract. he's going to be leaving Carolina after this year anyway. If they lose a few more games, why would you not be open to the idea of moving him if you got the right offer before the deadline? And I think the same would be true of Adam Thielen, a veteran who you probably would want to do right by.
He's going to be leaving Carolina this offseason anyway, is what he said there? Now, we need to consider the source here. Adam Schefter's an insider. Does he have insider information from Diontae Johnson's camp saying, like, oh, there's no way he's staying in Carolina? Or does he have another team that's saying, hey, do you think you could kind of tug on that string a little bit, see if you can't get Diontae Johnson available for us so we can make an offer? Just start talking about it as if there's no way he's going back. Then Carolina will panic and trade like you don't know. But if he seriously has let it be known to anybody that talked to Adam Thielen that there's no way he's re-signing in Carolina, you get something for him while you can. And he's coming off a big game, 2 of them. And the earlier you trade him, the more you'll get in return because they'll get more season out of Diontae Johnson. Similarly, looking at Adam Thielen, you have to consider trading everyone that won't be around to contribute when you're good. If you're 2 years away from contending, let's say this year is the figure-it-out year, next year is get the quarterback on the team year, the following year, full steam ahead. Adam Thielen is already the oldest wide receiver in the NFL by 2 years. Adam Thielen is 34. The next oldest wide receiver in the NFL is Keenan Allen, who's 32. If Thielen is going to be 36 by the time you're really willing to contend, before you let him walk for free, see if you can't get something from him. Now, and the last point here is I do understand playing Diontae Johnson out the rest of this year, even if he's leaving, if you had a young quarterback. Because then you'd be arguing, no, I want him to have at least, replacement level above average wide receivers as he figures out how to do this thing in the NFL. But with Bryce not out there, like, I think Andy Dalton's pretty well developed. I mean, like there's not that young guy who needs to have, good players around him so he knows what success feels like, so he knows what a good route looks like. It's a little the other way.
And if you're Diontae Johnson, if you built up that strong rapport with a young quarterback, be like, hey, look, we got something cooking here. We're going in the right direction. Yeah, I'll re-sign. I'll stick around because I know this guy's going to be here. But if I'm Diontae, I'm like, well, yeah, Andy might be here maybe next year.
Yeah, me and Andy, we really hit it off.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we did, but he might not be here after this season. So, like, what about my future?
He's going to be wearing a polo announcing games next year.
He's like, I spent 2 years having to deal with Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh and dealing with a young mess like that. No, I want to go somewhere where I can go play and win and make money right now.
And like, I understand because I know what the response is going to be. It's going to be Panther fans saying, you're talking about trading the guys. The offense just started looking decent, and you're already trying to move them. And I'm yes, but it's I believe you have to trust your decision maker in Dan Morgan, and it would be one step back for hopefully 3 steps forward. It would be one step back for the rest of this year, for hopefully 3 steps forward for the offense as Canales and Morgan mold it in their ideal image. And if you're looking for some kind of silver lining, I like the idea of Mingo and Legette getting more and more opportunity to either, for lack of a better term, do your business or get off the pot, right? Like, you have to decide whether Mingo is one of your dudes or if you're going to move on from him and you got to find a new dude. I think Legette obviously has a longer runway based on natural ability and just being younger, but you got to figure it out.
Give Jalen Coker some reps.
Jalen Coker had a deep ball intended for him over the weekend. Get him some reps. Get the ball to the tight ends more. Figure out which of those 17 guys that have been signed and released and signed and released since the beginning of training camp wants to hang around. But this is, by the way, a compliment. For the first time in a long time, other teams will look at the Panthers' offense and think, I want some of that on my team. You have value. You've played well enough that your players are rising in value. Now you can cash in a little bit of that. The last year, Nobody at this point in the season was going, hey, our wide receiver 2 got hurt. What's DJ Chark's value? Like, what would that cost us? Nobody was doing that last year. I believe the Chiefs will probably call about Diontae Johnson. Whether you accept the offer is different because you don't want to get fleeced. You got to get value where it is. But your guys are playing well enough that somebody else is going to want them. Don't lose them for nothing. Don't get, because the other side is if Diontae Johnson's really out, if he's just bailing, then you have a 36, soon-to-be 37-year-old quarterback feeding the ball to a wide receiver just to make him more money from some other team this offseason. There's very little about Andy Dalton to Diontae Johnson without an extension or a re-signing this offseason. There's very little about Andy Dalton to Diontae Johnson that helps the Panthers at all beyond this season. And if you're Dan Morgan, if you're David Tepper, you have to think in bigger chunks than just the next game. You probably actually would have a really upset Dave Canales for a couple weeks.
Probably.
Dave Canales would, are you kidding me, Dan? And Dan would be like, no, play the young guys. And then it's like, I'm going to go to the gym. Like,
he'd probably say, hey, great opportunity.
Oh, actually, you're right. You're right. I completely misplayed that hypothetical.
Oh, he said,
Dave Canales
great
isn't mad at
opportunities for
Dan
these
Morgan.
other guys. Great opportunities.
Dave Canales is the only offensive head coach in the league you could trade away as number 1 wide receiver. He'd walk down to the GM and thank him. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to develop these younger guys and give them more reps and find a way for our offense to be successful without Diontae. Thank you, Dan Morgan. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I'm thankful for. I'll do this. I'll march right over to Capital Financial Advisory Group and thank Coach Pete. Tim Donnelly here for Capital Financial, and maybe it's for doing the dirty work, right? Life insurance, it's an awkward conversation to have, right? It's end-of-life stuff. All of it gets kind of icky when you're trying to plan ahead. But the life insurance that you thought you knew, your parents' version of life insurance, the grandparents' version of life insurance, it's a thing of the past. There's game-changing amendments and innovations in the world of life insurance that Coach Pete can help you have those hard conversations and figure out what's important to you. If you're ready to learn about the practical ways you can utilize life insurance in your financial plan, nobody can explain it in a way like Capital Financial Advisory Group and Coach Pete. Get this. Coach Pete even tells me you could use the death benefit in your life insurance to pay for any long-term care expenses. Tax-free. That's like 3 wins in a row there. This is one of the many benefits of the new generation of life insurance. Again, might not be the most fun conversation, but it's one you want to have. So give him a call right now. Coach Pete will walk you through this particular innovation in life insurance while also hooking you up with a copy of one of his best-selling books. But you have to be sure to tell him I sent you. That's what gets you the hookup. The number to call is 800-691-3215. Say Tim sent me. Or you can just text my name, Tim, to 600-700. That's 800-691-3215. Or text Tim to 600-700. We'll take a break. When we come back, Cop or Drop, one of our favorite games of Tuesday, every Tuesday. Stick around.
Hi, this is Renee Chu. The most trusted local news in the Triangle is now on the radio. WRL News Plus. Now get breaking news and severe weather reports on the radio 24 hours a day. Listen on the radio at 96.5 FM in Durham, 99.3 FM in Raleigh, and everywhere in the Triangle at 101.5 HD3.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Endurance has paid hundreds of millions in claims. Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-291-0628. That's 800-291-0628. 800-291-0628.
NFL Week 5 is here. Well, it's close enough anyway. You can start with a chance for a big win on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Adam Gold from my friends over at FanDuel. And we're going to get you started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager. You know me, right? I wouldn't steer you wrong. Don't say anything. You want to look ahead to Thursday Night Football? Go right ahead. Buccaneers and Falcons, an NFC South clash. Just go to FanDuel.com/AdamGold and make every moment more this season with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I have some interesting news. It's ironic. I feel like this happens a lot where we talk about something and then during the ensuing commercial break, a little bit of news like changes that whole conversation. So we just talked for Football at 4 about Diontae Johnson and Adam Thielen potentially being trade targets for wide receiver needy teams in the NFL. Then we finish up that conversation. We head to break, and the first thing I do is refresh Twitter, and it says it's a tweet from Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network that reads something like, I don't know why I'm saying something like. It reads exactly like, Raiders star wide receiver Davante Adams informed the team that he preferred to be traded, per Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo. There is nothing imminent, but a situation to watch for sure. So what you just heard was everybody that was halfway dialing to the Panthers for Diontae Johnson go, never mind, hang up and call Vegas. See what the price is. Because, I mean, obviously Davante Adams is one of the best to ever do it.
See, Dan Morgan picks up like, oh, hey, just seeing how you're doing.
Everything going well?
Yeah.
All right. I got a call on the other line. I'll talk to you later.
I got to let you go. Sorry.
I still think there's a market for Thielen and Johnson. I just think Davante Adams becomes now the big domino that'll fall before those happen. Also want to remind everybody, you can text keyword green right now to 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Riley Green at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on June 14th. Again, keyword green, Green. Text that in to 919-860-5326, and you might just win a pair of tickets to see Riley Green this upcoming June. Now let's talk Copper Drop.
You want true enlightenment? Well, I'm dropping.
Dennis is going to make predictions or bring ideas and thoughts to the table, and I will say whether I am copying or dropping. Dennis, what do you got?
Bryce Young will be a Carolina Panther next season, cop or drop.
Can I ask for a clarification?
Okay.
Does any game represent yes? Like if he's a Panther for 2 games, does that represent a yes?
I mean, is he on the roster at any point next season?
Preseason.
Sure.
Okay, then I think he is. I think the time where his value will be greatest is when you might have a preseason injury or an early season injury next year. And I think they have to spend some time on the PR spin cycle. What I mean by that is, like, you need a couple off-season Instagram videos of Bryce Young grinding over ladders and bags, throwing passes to nets, just to show everybody that he's, got a new quarterback coach and he's rededicated himself. And maybe a couple pictures where he's throwing, and based on the angle and the point in the throw, it looks like his like shoulders are massive, like he's put on a bunch of weight. No, he's not the little guy anymore. Like, you need to do the whole PR spin zone thing for him. So I think it'll take a while, but I don't think he finishes next year. I don't even know if he starts next year as a Panther, like regular season week 1 as a Panther. But I think through a decent part of the offseason he could be.
I'm torn on this. I don't think he is on the roster for the start of the regular season next year. I just don't see it.
At this point, I think there's probably Andy Dalton until if and when the rest of the season changes.
Yeah.
And then there's probably another journeyman to compete with Bryce for that number 2 spot. He'll win the job and Bryce will get traded.
All right.
Maybe somebody like Drew Lock.
Drew Lock?
Just because I know he has history with Canales out there in Seattle.
Yeah, I guess they may have crossed paths for a short bit out there.
Oh, maybe my timeline's off. I assume they did.
Possibly. But nonetheless, Bryce Young, I don't think he's going to be on the I'm not even sure he plays a game this year. Depending on injury,
I definitely don't think he plays, barring injury this year.
All right, cop or drop. Duke will win 10 games. Counting bowl game, Duke will win 10 football games this season. Cop or drop.
All right, let's play the game. Let's do it. Georgia Tech, that one's tough. I think that's
on the road.
I think that's a 50-50 game.
That's not going to be easy.
Maybe even 63% Tech there, Georgia Tech.
Okay.
Florida State.
That's after a bye week, too.
You're right. After
and
Duke's
it's at
bye.
home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not picking Florida State. SMU will be tough. Miami's probably a loss. State, the way Duke's playing right now and State's playing right now, I think Duke wins that. Virginia Tech, I mean, they already got 5 of them. There's a lot of winnable games there.
And I said factor in bowl game,
and
too.
you're giving me the bowl. I'm buying.
Okay.
I'm buying. I'm probably a little like out over my skis on Duke right now, but they're 5-0. Just about every other team in the state of North Carolina has disappointed me greatly at some point in time. So maybe I'm Rose and Jack on that door, and I'm just hanging on, trying to survive.
Just let them on the door.
They both could have fit. It would
have been just fine. Jack would still be with us. All right, next one, cop or drop. UNC football coach Mack Brown will announce he's retiring after this season by the end of this month.
Okay, so you're saying he will say, like, this is my last go-around?
Yes.
I disagree. I drop it. I think he's old school. I think he's going to coach out everything. Maybe before the bowl game, he'll give a hint just so the team can start looking for their next coach. But I don't think – and by the way, maybe this is wishful thinking. Do you agree with me on this? I don't know if I recall, because whenever I start talking about this, I just see red and I kind of just go bananas. I don't like retirement tours. Do you like retirement tours when guys?
Not really. No.
They frustrate all heck out of me. The reason being, like, I think sports is the place where respect is shown through booing, right? If you go to another team's arena and they boo you, I always took that as, I must be something, right? If they're booing me, if they've done the research on me, if their student section is chanting on me, that means I've done something that's respect. And then as soon as the retirement tour gets announced, suddenly all of that respect is gone and it becomes like big applause for the opponent. And I don't, like, Coach K did it, and I was like, what do you want? You want to go to the Dean Dome and have everybody stand and nod? I'm like, no, like, the respect they show you is that they hate you. That means they don't hate the coach at Boston College, right? They like, that's the respect. So I hope Mack Brown doesn't even have a retirement tour. I hope, again, if you want to do it right after the regular season, say I'm going to coach the bowl, but this will be my last game, that's a competitive thing because you need to let the team get their next coaching staff in line and start recruiting. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if it's before the last week or two of the season, I'm disappointed.
Okay, next one. Cop or drop. NC State should stick with C.J. Bailey at quarterback the rest of the season? Cop or drop?
I'm
not lobbing softballs today.
I've gone back and forth on this one 100 times. I'm going to answer the question.
Okay.
I know what my answer is going to be.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you a paragraph or two preamble.
All right.
This is one of, and I hate doing this, and I have a buddy that played at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame has a lot of journalists and fans that are not super happy with the way Notre Dame is playing right now. And
understandable.
He responded to probably 100 of them saying, you don't know what's going on in the meeting room. You don't know what play was called. You don't know if there was a mental assignment missed. Like, unless you're in there watching film with the team, you can't talk like this. And he's a smart guy. He's a good dude. But I was going like, well, then no one can ever talk about sports ever. I hate that take, saying, like, if you're not in the meeting room, you can't. I do think naming a starting quarterback in a situation like this where both have played and neither has lit it up is one of those situations where it's like, I do kind of need to know what they were asked to do, right? If you were told be super conservative and don't turn the ball over, C.J. Bailey actually had a decent game this past weekend. If you were told, hey, if you see a guy downfield, cut it loose, C.J. Bailey had a real gun-shy game this past weekend. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for me to fully judge what they've done without knowing what they were asked to do. With that being said, I think you roll with C.J. Bailey. For the fact of, at the very least, Grayson McCall didn't look a ton better than C.J. Bailey. And C.J. Bailey has 3.5 years of eligibility left. Grayson McCall's eligibility is exhausted. So I guess tie goes to the younger, right? It's like baseball, tie goes to the runner.
Yeah.
Tie goes to the younger. And I'm considering it a tie until if and when Robert and I or Dave Doran or somebody lets us into their room a little bit and they say, you know, actually Grayson McCall graded out significantly higher in his games than C.J. Bailey did. If there is a gap there, I'm fine going back to Grayson.
All right, speaking of NC State, factoring in bowl game, NC State reaches 9 wins this season. Cop or drop? They have Wake Forest at home this Saturday. Then they're at home against Syracuse. They got to go on the road to Cal. Then they get a bye week. Then they're back home against Stanford, home against Duke, at Georgia Tech. So a lot of home games still left for NC
And then at
State.
UNC to finish it.
UNC to finish it.
I still believe in the talent of NC State, but I'm going to use a term I used earlier in the show. I have to believe my eyes. We've now seen 5 games. 5 is enough for you to not need to not factor in what you thought this team could be preseason. 5 is enough to be a full body of evaluation. I don't think they get there. I don't think they get there. They have 3. They need to find 6 more. I mean, there's 2, 4. What are we looking at? 2, 4, 6, 8 regular season games. You need to find 6 plus a bowl.
7 regular season plus
7.
a bowl. So 8
Did I
total
count
games.
wrong? Yeah. On-air math guy, get on me on Twitter.
Yep.
Can't even count right.
On it.
No, I don't think they get there. I don't think they get to 9.
You don't think they get to 9?
So I'm dropping. But
So basically got to win 6 of 8.
They got to win 6 of 8, and I think even without a surprise, I don't know if they get there.
Like Duke and Georgia Tech are going to be tough. Syracuse is not going to be easy either. And you have, again, the rivalry game with UNC.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be kind of difficult.
Yep.
Cop or drop? Carolina Panthers should also look to trade Chuba Hubbard, running back, when Jonathan Brooks is healthy. Cop or drop?
Man. I said it earlier. There's nobody that's untouchable. There's nobody that is you hang up as soon as they call. I don't know if they look to. I don't know if they make the initial call, because you're going to need somebody who really needs a running back. And running back has really become a position where, like, Kareem Hunt was on the streets, right? He was just a normal guy watching football. He got picked up by the Chiefs. He ran for like 80-something yards in his first game back, and took the ball carrying duties away from Carson Steele, the Gator. So you need someone that like really covets Chuba Hubbard to give up enough for you to move on from him. So I wouldn't make the call, but I'm listening if somebody does. Right? If somebody calls, you assume like, oh, you want him. So there's nobody that is completely untouchable. He's, I would say, significantly less likely to get traded than maybe a Diontae Johnson or an Adam Thielen. But yeah, what if Jonathan Brooks comes back and him and Miles Sanders are enough. Maybe you don't even need him. That's a lot coming back from the injury, but hey, let your imagination walk to the good side.
All right, final one. Cop or drop Xavier Legette after his breakout game on Sunday. Xavier Legette will catch 60-plus passes this season, cop or drop. He has
60.
12 through 4 games.
He had 6 this past game.
He did. You know Adam Thielen.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my next question. Do I know if one of those two guys gets traded?
That's your determination.
60? Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to cop it.
Okay.
I'm going to cop it. Matter of fact, let's talk more about that. We can cut cop or drop there. I'm copping it because this past week, Xavier Legette had something cooking. And that's the best news of the weekend for the Panthers, to be honest with you. From this past weekend, best news was Xavier Legette, that unspoken, unexplainable wide receiver thing. He had a little bit of it, right? Obviously, Adam Thielen wasn't there, so there was, some targets available, and he appeared worthy. And we can get into the stats, right? 6 catches, 10 targets, 66 yards, first career touchdown, one excellent touchdown celebration. Rode his horse dollar bill. And that's about all I got on that one. He also had 2 carries for 10 yards. Did have 2 passes that he probably should have caught, and he didn't. But more so than any of that, he passed the eye test with flying colors. And it translated to real production for the first time. All training camp, all preseason, when healthy, which wasn't the most often thing, he would make a play in one-on-ones, or he would make one play, and you'd look at it and you'd go, whoa. And then you'd go like 9 days without seeing anything memorable. And then you'd see another play, and you'd be like, it's Legette. Over the weekend, in their game against the Bengals, he passed the eye test. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN tweeted out, Legette was such a bright spot for the Panthers this weekend. A, separation on top of routes. B, speed out of breaks. C, jet sweeps. D, red zone size and strength. Those are very, very, very good adjectives to describe a rookie wide receiver. Now, yes, he had the passes he should have caught, and he didn't. Hopefully that'll go away over time. He's still in his first month as a professional football player. But also, he didn't have anything that popped for more than 17 yards. And I think he will have that. If there's one thing that, you can kind of tell, is when somebody catches the ball and as they transition to being a ball carrier, you kind of know their mindset based on how they move in their body language. Go watch Tyler Lockett. He's a great example of this. Tyler Lockett played last night for Seattle. If you go and watch a game of his from, a couple years ago, he had a couple 12-catch, 200-yard games. But what he does is he makes the catch, and he's immediately looking for a soft spot on the turf to lay down. He's like, in which direction can I run a straight line, and then I will fall before any defensive players get there, right? He's somebody that's dealt with injuries, had a buddy that dealt with a serious injury and was kind of asleep on the field for a while. So you could tell that's his MO. Then go watch somebody like, the most obvious example, and it gets referenced too often, is Deebo Samuel. He catches the ball, and all of a sudden he's, sizing up blockers. He's looking for lanes. He becomes like a running back with vision. Xavier Legette is through the first, 12 catches, with some of those being catches going to the ground. So we're really looking at the first 6 in-game opportunities that we've had to see him catch and become a runner, not catch with someone on his back.
I remember he had the one against the Raiders.
The catch over the middle, and then he took off up the sideline.
It was like a 35 yards total. Yeah, one was like, oh, okay, there's the run after the catch.
He catches it, and even if he doesn't pick up a ton of yards, you can tell his eyes are going to, how can I turn this short catch into a big play? I would almost guarantee, and I don't know what parameters I would put on it, next 2 or 3 games, I'd almost guarantee Xavier Legette has a 40 or 50-plus yard touchdown. Because there are those guys, and it's like the exact opposite of a possession receiver, where it's like, oh, they've got some electricity there. He hasn't done that yet, right? He had the 35-yarder, which was really a catch and run and angle to the sideline. He had a 17-yarder this past week. That's, I think, this is not the normal for Xavier Legette as far as how often he's going to make you say, wow. And We talked about this earlier a bit with why it might be okay to trade away one of the veteran wide receivers. This is a great season for a raw prospect, which is what he was, that can do what he can do, but also needs to work on the things that Xavier Legette needs to work on. This is a great season for him to do those things. You, now have a veteran quarterback, which is massively important for a young wide receiver. Right, with Bryce Young out there, a little bit of blind leading the blind, right? Hey, how should I run that? I don't know. It's never worked for me before. Like you start to last year.
I don't know where to throw it.
Yeah, exactly. Like let me deal with me, then I'll get to you.
And if you run that far, I won't get it to you.
Andy, brutal. Andy Dalton can hit him with like, hey, this is how I need it. 15 yards. You were at 13 there. That's going to throw off my timing. He can hit that kind of stuff, which is important for someone like Xavier Legette, who, if you look at his route tree, meaning all of the routes he ran at South Carolina, it's not a full tree. It's more of a Charlie Brown Christmas tree than like a full Christmas tree. There's not a ton of branches on that route tree. Go ball, deep post, crosser, screens. Go ball, deep post, crosser, screens. And on top of that, with the Panthers, guess what? He gets to work on it in game. He had 2 balls that he should have caught, and he didn't this past week. If he's on the Bills or the Chiefs, guess where he gets to spend the rest of the game after that happens? Standing right next to the offensive coordinator, listening to the play, and taking mental reps. And guess what? The Bills and the Chiefs drafted wide receivers the pick and 2 picks before the Panthers drafted Xavier Legette. They got Xavier Worthy and Keon Coleman, 31, 32 at the end of the first round. Sorry, not before and after. It was one before and one after. Xavier Legette picked 31. Keon Coleman picked 33. Xavier Legette was in the middle. So those guys, they better be good right away. They better have it figured out right away because a drop, because a missed route, because a confusion on timing with the quarterback might be the difference between like a first-round bye and not. Might be the difference between a home playoff game and not. For the Panthers, it might be the difference between 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 12. Like it might just be the difference between, one good play. So I'm looking at Xavier Legette as somebody who has a rare opportunity. One, rare in his physical gifts. The guy's just big, strong, fast. And there are certain things he's going to be able to do, certain mistakes he's going to be able to overcome that other guys won't be able to. 2, opportunity in an offense, especially if they do move on from Diontae Johnson or Adam Thielen, or either of them, Adam Thielen's injury already, missed time with injury, that those opportunities are not usual for a guy that's a raw prospect. And then on top of that, he looked good. He passed the eye test. Which is important. Looking like you belong, it helps. If you're an offensive play caller, just seeing the guy work, it's like, all right, put him back out there. Now I'm okay. You can exhale a little bit. Last night I was thinking about this watching the Titans game. There were a few plays Tony Pollard either broke for decent gains and were called back on penalty, or there was a few that he just looked fast for like a 4-yard gain. Like you could tell he was exploding through what he thought was a hole or a crease, and he was just getting tackled, and it wasn't a huge gain. And in my brain, I went, ooh, if I'm a play caller, I'm getting him another carry quick.
Yeah.
Because he just looked the part of a guy that was about to pop one. Whether it was called back for penalty or whether it was a good play by the defense, I'm like, he looks like he's right there. Kenneth Walker looked that way the entire game for Seattle. It was just like, keep giving him the ball. Xavier Legette had a little bit of that. I would be excited to draw up plays for him this week. I don't know if I was excited to draw up plays for him last week. Now I'm going like, he might make me look good. He might make my open, dig route, my open out route into a touchdown, and then I get to be the guy that drew up the wide open touchdown. Hey.
He just has to be consistent. Like those 2 drops were rough.
They're bad. Should have caught him.
But again, how do you back it up? How do you back it up?
And there's a reason why quarterbacks sometimes get carried away with, hey, if you drop a pass, I'm coming right back to you on the next play. It helps with his confidence, and I think the Panthers can do that while some other contenders wouldn't be able to. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's head over to Dennis Cox.
Speaking of confidence, Dennis Cox here with my friends over at Law Tigers. confidence when it comes to Law Tigers, because they're a group that has your back. As a motorcycle rider, if I'm ever injured in a motorcycle accident, I'm grateful knowing that there are people that have my back, that know what it's like to be on a motorcycle, because Law Tigers, they're motorcycle riders as well. They understand what my bike is worth, what my gear is worth, what I'm going through after an accident. It's nice knowing that confidence. It's nice having that confidence every time I get on the bike. If you've ever been injured in a motorcycle accident, call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. Insurance companies, they just want to give you the least amount possible. Law Tigers, like I said, they're riders too. Maybe you actually got injured in a motorcycle accident, maybe sometime over the summer or back in the spring, and the insurance company, they're still not doing everything that they're supposed to do. They're hemming and hawing because that's what insurance companies do. Guess what? You can still give Law Tigers a call at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. Your case evaluation is always free, and Law Tigers, they do not get paid until your case settles. So again, if you've been injured even just a few months ago, still give Law Tigers a call. Again, call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Coming up next, we have a little feedback frenzy where we go to all of your comments from online involving conversations we've had over the last week, and we respond to your responses. Coming up next.
The Adam Gold Show.
Look, the biggest difference between the Panthers with Bryce Young and the Panthers with Andy Dalton is that they look like a functional NFL offense at this point. Wins and losses almost doesn't matter. The fact that they look like they belong in the league is really the most important thing. Hopefully Bryce can get to that, but right now Dalton's the guy.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
99.9 The Fan and Coastal Credit Union are proud to announce the return of the Coastal Credit Union Scholar Athlete of the Month. For more than 20 years, we have honored over 200 student athletes that are making a difference on their team and in their community. If you are a teacher, parent, coach, or guardian, nominate your Scholar Athlete today. We will select one winner a month to be featured on 99.9 The Fan and on WRAL News Plus. To nominate a winner, text AWARD to 919-860-5326. That's AWARD to 919-860-5326.
Congrats to last year's winners. Emma Penkunas of Holly Springs High School, Connor O'Toole of Athens Drive, Kenzie Smith of Fuquay Verena, Patience Ifadon of South Garner High, Carrie Ellen Bryan of Southern Lee, Carson Parker, Apex Friendship, Jason Howard of Wakefield High School, and Eric Stoll of Green Level. We also want to thank all of our other local schools who nominated a student: Apex Friendship, Jordan Matthews, Northwood, Green Hope High, Willow Springs, Jacksonville High, South Granville, Cleveland High, Riverside, and South Johnston.
This is Creighton Blackwell with Coastal Credit Union, and I would like to offer my sincerest thanks to every school that nominated a student for this year's award. This award is more than a celebration of exceptional athletes. It's also a celebration of the schools and the communities that helped them grow into the incredible leaders that we like to celebrate.
Congratulations to all of our Coastal Credit Union Scholar Athletes of the Month. If you want to nominate a high school athlete, text AWARD to 919-860-5326.
Who's ready for some football? Celebrate the season with award-winning wings and ice-cold pints at Carolina Ale House. With wall-to-wall TVs, Carolina Ale House is the go-to spot for every game. From Honey Buffalo to 5 Alarm to Carolina Barbecue, we've got wing sauces for all flavors. If you're feeling hungry, don't forget about our brisket French dip or Philly cheesesteak. Grab a front row seat, sip on your favorite beer, and watch your squad with us. Carolina Ale House. Ale yeah!
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time for a feedback frenzy. where we look all across the internet for the comments you make, many of them coming from our YouTube channel, which we encourage you to follow along. Subscribe at 99.9 The Fan on YouTube. Like the videos, comment on the videos, and you might just hear your comment, your question, your concern, your debate right here live on air during a feedback frenzy. Dennis, what are you taking off the internet and bringing to the show today?
Real quick, this actually came from Forest City Kitty on our YouTube live chat. Xavier, talking about Xavier Legette, has become my favorite player on the Panthers.
Wow, that's a quick ascension.
Yeah.
So
he's got a fun personality, too.
He does. People love the voice. They love the twang. They love the first of all, the ability. He's a first-round pick. I think he's easily a fan favorite. But to go straight to number one a month into his career, that's pretty good. He has one touchdown, and he's number one in one fan's heart.
There you go. A lot of fans were really rooting for him on Sunday.
I agree.
Especially
I think
in
they're
the
going to
stadium.
continue to do so, yeah.
He's got a very infectious personality. It's even beyond his accent and stuff. He just has a very infectious personality. All right, next one here. This one comes from JDA. JDA89. This is on the conversation we had yesterday about the Panthers looking competitive, unfortunately coming up short. Said, all of this from a QB switch. Gotta love it. I rue the day they decided to give it back to Bryce.
See, the hard part is, like, I'm wildly competitive. I think many of you are pretty competitive people. It's really hard to see the goal of a franchise as anything other than to like win this Sunday. The goal has to be to win this Sunday. If you do go back to Bryce, there's probably a reason that is different than we're trying to win this Sunday. There's probably something along the lines of, we're in the running for a very, very, very high pick, and a win here might hurt us. So, all right, let's give the last three weeks back to Bryce and let him work some things out while also maybe securing us a top 2 or 3 pick. Or there's something along the lines of, let's let Bryce Young audition for everybody else, so maybe this offseason we'll get a legitimate offer back that includes a 2nd or 3rd round pick rather than the scraps we've been offered this year. So, like, ruining the day, ruining the day where Andy Dalton's not the guy anymore because it's so much fun to have him as the guy. I get it. But that's when you have to, dig in and really think about, all right, what's the motivation here?
All right, this one comes from Playa from the Himalayas on YouTube on that same conversation. Every issue I've seen yesterday outside of injuries can be fixed with coaching. This is again talking about the play on Sunday's game. Every issue I've seen outside of the injuries can be fixed with coaching and more playing time. We still need more talented depth at many positions, but regardless of win-loss stats, the team is headed in the right direction under Canales.
So I guess he's saying like drops and things are just come with more playing time?
Drops,
right.
Actually like wrapping up on tackles. Like that just comes with practice, reps, and coaching.
I think the edge rushing is not necessarily something that you can't just coach guys into being bigger, faster, stronger. And a lot of edge rushing is just being bigger, faster, stronger than the other guy. I don't want to simplify it all the way down to see ball, get ball, but I know edge rushers that describe it as my job is see ball, get ball. So that's one.
And he did say this person did say we still need more talent and depth at many positions. So still acknowledging the lack of talent in some spots on the roster.
Yeah, it's just I don't think you can coach, and like you need to go get the dudes to be a good edge. A lot on defenses, you got to go get the guys. Obviously you need assignment-based football as well, but a lot of it is you need the physical beasts, and the Panthers don't have a ton of those. Offensively, I'll agree with that. I think there's the things that popped up against the Bengals, a lot of it is coachable. The one thing I will say is, and I don't know if I've noticed this about Andy Dalton in the past at any of his stops, my guy got a lot of passes batted down at the line of scrimmage. And I was just going, is Andy Dalton short now? Like when he was with the Bengals, was he tall, and is he that old where he's shrinking? But other than that, yeah, I don't see huge problems with the offense.
All right, next one up here. This one comes from Xbox Homies Plastic Cups 2366.
All right.
Great handle.
Yeah,
very mouthful. Sure. The mentality of the fans, media, and the team has to change. It's clear that we are better than last year, but that should not be acceptable. Yeah, cool, we got better. But paying actual money for mediocre is unacceptable, and preaching mediocrity is unacceptable.
Well, here's the problem with what you're saying. So basically what he's saying is like mediocrity stinks. When we're paying for tickets, it should be elite football, like that's what you pay for. The problem is it's unbelievably rare for a team to go from horrendous to great, like in an off season. Does it happen? Occasionally. Texans did it a few off seasons. But it's very rare. So it's almost like to get to where you're saying they need to be, they have to go through mediocre. Hopefully you're not taking a long detour in mediocre. Hopefully you're just cruising on through, but you have to go there at least for a little bit to get to, oh my gosh, these ticket prices are a steal. Every time I go there, I'm the most entertained person on the planet because they're so good. You can't teleport from the worst team in the NFL to a contender. You actually have to go through the steps. So hopefully when we say like, oh, we're praising them for being better than they were a year ago, we're praising them for being on the way to where you think they need to be to make ticket prices make sense.
Headed in the right direction.
That's headed in the right direction and at your right destination are two very, very different conversations, but one has to come before the other.
All right, we had a conversation yesterday as well about NC State, their 24-17 win over Northern Illinois. This one comes from at NC State alum.
Hey.
Pretty straightforward. I'm assuming about the Pack, do we go back to Grayson McCall after this week? Also, how can we expect to keep our star wide receivers if they don't get the ball?
Two questions.
So 2 questions in this
Both
one.
doozies.
Oh, yeah.
I think you stick with C.J. Bailey. I said that earlier. Unless there is something about how they were asked to play. Like if there's what we see, the stats, the wins, the losses, the touchdowns, the interceptions, and then there's coaches. They have this other thing, which is a grade sheet. Every play, players are getting graded. If Grayson McCall was graded as like a A- and C.J. Bailey a C, I see going back to Grayson. If it was B to B+ or C to C-, if it's that close, I think you stay with the younger guy. Ty goes to the younger, so you roll with C.J. Bailey, barring a great discrepancy in how well they're playing in the coach's eyes. The second part was, how do we expect to keep wide receivers if you don't throw them the ball? Was that kind of the paraphrase?
Yes, it was also, how can we expect to keep our star wide receivers if they don't get the ball?
Should I give the facetious, sarcastic answer or the real answer?
Yes.
The facetious, sarcastic answer is pay them more money. The real answer is make them feel like a part of it, right? I've talked about this a lot because especially before NIL, there was like a small gap in the college football world where transfers were pretty much allowed everywhere and NIL hadn't quite taken over everything. And I used to say, that's great because now coaches have to make their programs a place that people want to be even when they aren't playing. Right? Well, why do all of our backups leave? Why do all of our backups hit the transfer portal? Now we don't have any depth. And I'm going, well, probably because you didn't bring anything of value to the backups and you're used to how it used to be, which is as soon as you sign that letter of intent, you're handcuffed to a program for 4 years. This is different. Now you have to work with them, make them feel a part of it, make them feel like they're being developed, make them feel like there's a plan, and maybe they'll stick around. So if you want Casey Concepcion, Noah Rogers, Wesley Grimes, Anderson, Paylor, Jackson, the younger guys, the wide receivers to stay around for NC State, you have to make them feel like it's worthwhile. You have to make them feel like the offense will be better next year. You have to make them feel like they're being prepared to be pros. You're making them feel like they're a part of the future of the program. If they don't think that is true, they're going to leave. They might leave anyway. But you got to make them think that. Provide value outside of getting the ball. Or just pepper them with targets and get them 15 catches in each of the last 3 games. And then it looks like their season-long stats are much better. Those are your options. I think the easiest is probably just raise more money.
One final one. This one comes talking about UNC.
All right.
UNC dropping that game against Duke this weekend, 21-20, after having a 20-0 lead. At Tony Clark 3855 on YouTube says, this is why they always lose. Being conservative and going from playing to win to playing not to lose. Been like this from the day Max stepped on the field as our head coach. I have been saying forever that the whole athletic board at Carolina has to be fired. And now all they care about is money for themselves. Until these people are fired, we'll keep getting the same results year after year. And Hubert Davis is the Mac Brown of our basketball program, so it just keeps on keeping on. Just saying, have a great day.
Ricochet shots all over the place.
I know, yeah. Tony, fired up UNC fan.
Yikes. Here's what I would say. There's nothing. I probably say this too often. There's nothing more frustrating. It is really frustrating when your team loses a game because they go to prevent too early, or they take, they stop taking chances because they feel like they have it. That game, I do think the coaches have a lot to answer for. When you get up 20-0 and a team is able to run the ball and come back on you, there's something in game management that needs to be taken care of.
Not the first time we've seen it.
Not the first time we've seen it with that team within the last 18 months. I am feeling what you're saying, but I am not maybe not as aggressively with the fire everybody move. But by the way, did you see what I just saw this Ryan Williams, Alabama, the freshman wide receiver, 17-year-old?
Yeah.
Did you see what he wrote on his eye black?
Yes, I did.
Kill everybody.
Yeah.
And there was a picture of him and a teammate standing next to each other, and the teammate had like Psalms with like the letter of the scripture,
verse,
on his, and standing right next to him was Ryan Williams with "Kill everybody."
Yeah.
And the caption just said, "There's two types of people," and it was like, you know what? Whatever gets you going on game day, I guess, as long as you don't take it too far. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That's Feedback Frenzy. Again, continue to subscribe, comment on our YouTube, follow us on social media, and you just might hear your comments right here on a Feedback Frenzy live on air. We'll take a break. When we come back, starting five, including Major League Baseball playoffs, start today, everybody. Make your picks. Stick around.
Keep pounding. Panther Talk, Panthers Playbook, the Paw Print. Follow your Carolina Panthers all season with us.
Dalton is in empty. Here's the snap. Pocket holds. Andy fires downfield. 1-6. Touchdown. End zone. Center cut. Diontae Johnson.
Your home for complete Carolina Panthers coverage. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
With all these new winners at the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club, we need to decide who's in charge.
We need a top prize winner.
We need someone who's good with words, like us crossword winners.
If elected leader, I will extend the hours during which all winners can use the diamond-encrusted hot tub.
Yes!
New scratch-offs mean new winners. This month's tickets are packed with $370 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.04 to 4.31. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. So many of you have told me about your plans for the future. Starting a business, buying a home, retiring near your grandchildren. But prices are too high. So let me tell you what I will do about it as president. I will take on price gouging. I will lower the cost of health care insurance. We capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. I'm running to do that for everyone. And I will provide new down payment assistance to first-time home buyers and tax benefits to people who want to start their own business. Donald Trump, well, he wants to give more tax breaks to the wealthy, whereas I will cut taxes for the middle class instead. Because I know working people want to do more than just get by. You want to get ahead, and that's the future you deserve. And that is what I will focus on every day as your president. Paid for by Harris for President.
Homeowners, listen up. The Fed has taken action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto has followed suit by lowering mortgage rates big time. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. That means this is the best chance in 2 years to do a cash-out refi and unlock all that equity at an amazing rate. Loan Pronto has fixed loans under 5% APR, the lowest in 2 years. You can get a fast refi and get $50, $75, even $100,000 in cash. Use it to pay off all your credit cards, personal loans, car loans. You'll end up with one payment each month, and for most homeowners, they save over $850 every month. And if you want to keep your original mortgage intact, ask about the Loan Pronto Express Equity Line of Credit. If you act now, you could even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces away into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. We do have a weak cool front heading our way. There's a small chance for a shower this evening, 65 the low. Tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy, perhaps some morning fog. Later in the afternoon, a 20% chance for a shower with 80.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock, check of your money. Dow Jones is down 173 points today to 42,156. Market update brought to you by the Good Feet Store. Ready to step into a healthy and active lifestyle? Come to the Good Feet Store and experience the difference. Discover how a simple step can lead to a life of pain-free possibilities.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting 5.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we jump into the starting 5, bit of information on how you might be able to help, and hopefully you will, with the recovery projects and everything that's going on due to the hurricane damage here in the state of North Carolina. Our friends and neighbors need help, as we all know, after Hurricane Helene, and we're stepping up. Tomorrow, 99.9 The Fan, the station that you're listening to, will be joining WRAL, our colleagues within the Capital Broadcasting Company umbrella, for an all-day telethon that starts at noon. Starts at 12 o'clock noon, different time than what I said earlier. I was a little off. But noon to 7:30 p.m. So those 7.5 hours, from noon to 7:30 p.m., you'll be able to call in and donate to aid recovery efforts across North Carolina, because as we know, together we can make a difference. To make an immediate $10 donation to support American Red Cross efforts in Western North Carolina, you can text Helene, that is HELENE, to 90999. If you text Helene to 90999, that'll be an immediate $10 donation to support American Red Cross efforts, and then get ready for tomorrow's telethon, noon to 7:30, which we'll be partnered on. Again, that's the important stuff. Now let's get into the lesser important yet fun sports talk, starting with number 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The Major League Baseball playoffs start today. How about that?
They've already started.
That is true. There's a game on here in the studio. Tigers are up 3-0 late in the game on the Astros. Should we go ahead and make a pick real quick?
I mean, I guess we can.
I feel like...
What is it going to hurt? By the way, the Kansas City Royals and Baltimore Orioles are in the top of the 5th, tied 0-0 right now. And like you said, Tigers are up 3-0 over the Stros.
All right, I think we have to pick a World Series matchup, and then a winner.
Okay.
I'll give you the option. Would you like to go first or second?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Give me Yankees-Dodgers. Dodgers winning it all.
Wow, you're just...
I'm going all chalk. Yankees-Dodgers. Dodgers take it all.
You are a fan of just corporate conglomerates and spending more money than anyone else can spend.
Shohei Ohtani.
You want the evil empires to win.
I want to see Shohei Ohtani win.
I'm going to take the plucky upstart with $300, $400 million in payroll. The New York Mets, 6th seed, taking on the Brewers.
Now you're speaking from your fandom.
Well, here's the deal. Yes, I am a Mets fan. I've been a Mets fan my entire life. I don't like. I just don't want to be the guy that didn't pick their favorite team when they go on the magical run. So I'm going to cover my bases here and say Mets.
Okay.
On the other side, I'm going Orioles.
Going with the O's. All right.
I'm going with the O's. A whole bunch of the guys on the Orioles I covered in AAA at a previous job, and I don't know if it's this year. I don't know if it's next year. I don't know if it's the year after. Those guys are going to explode in a big way, and I'm thinking that core with Henderson and Rushman and Cowser and I mean they're good. And then that doesn't even include Jackson Holiday. He wasn't in that group when I was there. They're going to win multiple series, I believe. So why not this one? Who do you have winning? Did you say a winner? Or did you just say Dodgers? Dodgers beating the Yankees?
Dodgers.
I'm picking the Mets.
Over
the Orioles.
Okay.
I think it's probably the Orioles, but I don't want to be the guy that didn't pick his favorite team. So Mets are feeling something special after yesterday's come from behind victory. Get out of the way, Brewers. Phillies, you're next. That's number 5.
Is there a team you don't want to see win? Because I feel like sometimes in sports, it's like, you know what? Maybe I don't have my favorite team ain't in it, but I definitely don't want to see those guys.
I mean, I'd go old school and say division rivals, Phillies and Braves.
Okay.
Braves fans, by the way, are everywhere.
Especially around these parts.
I mean, I think, well, obviously this part because of regionality a bit, but that TBS contract in like the 80s or whatever it was.
90s? Yeah.
Gosh, they're everywhere. So as a Mets fan, you always feel like there's like division rivals like lurking because there's Braves fans everywhere. And then the Phillies just because, they're the Phillies. Are you super anti anyone?
I'm very much, over recent years, anti-Astros.
I get that. I am as well. I just think they should be called cheaters more often.
Yeah. Call it what it is.
Yeah.
And Cleveland?
You don't like Cleveland.
The Guardians?
They're scrappy upstarts. They got their payroll is nothing. Put together a wildly good team. That's you're against like the Moneyball A's, aren't you?
No, I like them. They don't exist anymore.
Well, the A's do.
Just not in Oakland.
Yeah, true. That's number 5. MLB playoffs will be going for the next 7 years. It's a long playoff. It's a long playoff.
It's actually not as long as NHL playoffs.
True. I also think that's a little long.
That is extremely long.
That's number 5. Let's get to number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, all together.
We didn't get to talk about this yesterday, but I thought it was important to bring up. Pete Rose and Dikembe Mutombo. We learned of their passing yesterday. Obviously, 2 very different conversations, so we're going to have them kind of separately here. I think we start with Dikembe Mutombo. Speaking of fandom, 2001 Philadelphia 76ers, I'm not kidding, might be the team that I, obsessed over the most in my life. I was, 11 years old. It was Iverson. They made it all the way to the finals. They took one game from the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. It was, peak fandom for me, and it was Aaron McKee and George Lynch, and there was Tyrone Hill, there was Speedy Claxton, there was Eric Snow, and in the middle, in addition to Iverson, in the middle, Dikembe Mutombo. The cool part about Mutombo is his legacy continued to grow post-career. He passed away from brain cancer, 58 years old. I have to admit, it felt like to me like he was an older person than 58, and I think that's because he packed so much into his life, whether it's the philanthropic work. He literally built a hospital, raised the money, paid for it, saw the entirety of the development back in his hometown of Kinshasa in Africa. At Georgetown, this is one of the crazier stats. He was, I think I read this morning, 18th in the country as a freshman in blocked shots.
Mm-hmm.
He played 11 minutes a game.
That's wild.
That's absurd. That's like, all right, coach, give me 20 seconds. I'll go get a block. Then I'll come back to the bench and drink some water. And then obviously he became a 4th overall pick, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA. Like I said, the philanthropic work, basically Basketball Beyond Borders, which is responsible for so much now. he was like the genesis of it, started it. So obviously a lot for Mutombo fans to deal with yesterday. Shane Battier, former Duke Blue Devil, was asked his thoughts and kind of on remembering Mutombo, and this is what Shane had to say.
Just thinking about all the road trips. I mean, if you ever played against Dikembe or with him or knew him, you talk about infectious personality. You talk about the smile that lights up the room. You talk about when he opens up his big eyes and he's looking at you and he's engaged and he's shaking his head and he's he's being who he is. I thought his son just had a tremendous Instagram post that talked about his dad's legacy. He just cared. He just cared. And, the world has lost an absolute giant today. And, I'm just super grateful that I crossed paths with him and I could call him a friend and a teammate. And I will never, ever forget Deke for his greatness.
And then the other story that I mentioned here as part of the starting five, number 4, is Pete Rose. Also, we learned of his passing yesterday.
All-time hits leader in baseball history?
All-time hits leader in baseball history. You want to hear another crazy stat?
What's that?
1,977 games he played in Major League Baseball, his team won.
That's wild.
If you played 19 consecutive seasons and won 100 games a year, you would still not win as many games as he has. That's absurd. And the baseball, he is a bit of, I don't want to maybe not put him all the way in this category, but he's got a little Wilt Chamberlain in him as a baseball player, which is like every stat leads to another crazy stat, leads to another crazy stat. I don't know if it's the right time, like in the day after his passing, to dive into the complicated nature of his legacy for multiple reasons, but there's obviously something that I think you need to acknowledge. He passed away in both Mutombo's case and Rose's case, thinking of the family, thinking of the community, thinking of the people around them that are obviously having a mourning period. So thinking of them, passing along support, and acknowledging greatness in a couple of athletes. That's number 4. Let's get to number 3. Dennis, I have a question for you.
Go on.
If you were a Carolina Panther.
All right.
And Dave Canales came up to you and said, hey, guess what?
What's up?
You're a captain, buddy. You are now officially midseason named a captain. Would you accept the honor?
Reluctantly.
Because the 4 captains named during the preseason for this season, Sam Franklin Jr., Bryce Young, Shaq Thompson, Derek Brown.
Yep.
4 good players, 4 upstanding individuals. You can see why they were chosen. Leadership, do everything right, say everything right, on and on. Sam Franklin has yet to play with an injury.
Yeah, he had an injury early in preseason.
Shaq Thompson, as of this week, popped his Achilles. He's done for the year. Derek Brown, as of a few weeks ago, was put on season-ending IR. He's injured for the year.
Yep.
Bryce Young, the only healthy of the 4, was benched 2 weeks ago, to which the team responded with their 2 best offensive performances in quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit of the kiss of death, is that what we're saying? Like,
Yeah.
if you are the like next year, should the captain be numbers 53-man roster, so numbers 49 through 53 get to be the captains, because it's, if you're superstitious, you're looking at this going, I don't know, that's like the Madden curse or something. The captain's curse. I don't want any part of that. All you do is walk out there and stand for the coin toss. I mean, there's nothing really. It's ceremonial at best. I can tell you this. My junior year in college, I was not a captain. I was the quarterback, though. Our captain was Gino Gradkowski, one of the best players I've ever played with, our guard. And guess what? They came to me to ask if we wanted to accept penalties and stuff. They came to me. The quarterback handles everything anyway. So the captain just goes out there for the coin toss and then gets like their picture in the paper. I don't know. After Derek Brown, really, really good player, hurt for the year. Shaq Thompson, really, really beloved player, leader of that defense, hurt for the year. Sam Franklin, special team whiz, hurt for maybe not the year, but he's been hurt for a while.
Yeah, he's on short-term IR.
And then Bryce Young, obviously benched. So there's tough road to hoe if you are a Panthers captain. I do think it would be funny if they went like opposite of Rudy. They're like, I'm not doing that, coach. I'll lay my jersey down before you make me a captain. I saw what happened to those other guys. Not putting that hex on me. It's number 3. Let's go ahead and jump to number 2.
Just the two of us.
Gonzaga.
Oh, the Zags?
Joining the Pac-12.
Wow, look at them.
Pac-12. And by the way, in all sports in which they participate, which obviously does not include football. Gonzaga doesn't have a football team. There's a few questions I have here. One is, does basketball now matter again? I was told all realignment decisions were made with football only in mind. Now the Pac-12 is bringing in Gonzaga for basketball and a bunch of other sports, but really for basketball. Does basketball matter again? Because if so, the ACC's got some weight to throw around that I think we're going to use our power for.
I mean, it has to matter, right?
I say it does, but I've been told it doesn't. I've been told it's like a nice side salad. It's not going to make or break the meal, but if you have it, great. The other part that I think is interesting about this is now, by the way, none of these impacts go in, like this is a year or two in the future. But the Gonzaga side of this is it now gives the Pac-12 8 committed Pac-12 basketball programs, men's and women's, which means they will get an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. You need 8 teams to be considered a legitimate conference. So at the very least, they will have an automatic bid, an end-of-the-year conference tournament to send teams to the men's and women's college basketball tournament, which I think is something they're very excited about and something they should be excited about. They still need to go get one football program, at least one, to become an official conference in football because Gonzaga doesn't fulfill that requirement. But what it does open them up to is if they wanted to, they can now start pursuing football-only members, which I've been saying for a long time, football-only conferences make a lot of sense. If I were, say, who's a team that the Pac-12 is interested in? Memphis?
Yeah, Memphis.
All right, we'll use Memphis as an example. Mm-hmm. If I'm Memphis, I wouldn't mind traveling to Pac-12 opponents at once every other week, which is what you do on a football schedule.
Yeah.
I would mind a little bit if I had to start sending swimming teams and I had to start sending tennis squads and I had to start sending. So if they open it up because they have an everything but football partner in Gonzaga, if they now make an offer to a team like Memphis for nothing but football, I think that puzzle piece starts to come together a little bit better and it makes travel, which everyone's so up in arms about, significantly easier. I think there should be football conferences and then everything else conferences for everybody, but they don't ask me. That's number 2. Let's go ahead and jump to number 1.
The one!
There's a lot of chatter out there about the Panthers potentially down the road. I wouldn't say like now, but as teams become more and more wide receiver needy, if they should be planning how they would execute a trade that would send away either Diontae Johnson, Adam Thielen, or both, which I know that's going to upset a bunch of Panther fans.
It has.
Adam Schefter was asked on the Pat McAfee show about it, and this is part of his answer.
Adam Thielen, Diontae Johnson. Diontae Johnson's in the last year of his contract. He's going to be leaving Carolina after this year anyway. If they lose a few more games, why would you not be open to the idea of moving him if you got the right offer before the deadline? And I think the same would be true of Adam Thielen, a veteran who you probably would want to do right by.
How about that? You know what? We've talked about this a few times today, and we're going to talk about it again because I do think these are the tough conversations that you need to have as the season goes along, so you're prepared for if and when somebody calls with an offer. You don't want Dan Morgan to answer the phone week 6, and the Chiefs are saying, hey, we think we are Diontae Johnson away from the three-peat. What's your price? You don't want Dan Morgan to go, oh, hadn't even thought of it. Let me get back to you. I got to go talk to my coach. You want to be, all right, well, I want to get X from you, so I'm going to say my first number is Y, and then maybe I'll settle. Like, you need to have that plan. So, Dennis, I've put my 2 cents out there a few times today. What about yours? Are you entertaining trading Diontae Johnson or Adam Thielen if a team calls, or are they too vital to the new success of the offense?
I think before the trade, at least a week before the trade deadline, you have to go to Diontae Johnson and ask, do you want to stay here? I think that's the biggest thing. If he says yes, then you take him off the board. Unless someone comes in's like first-round pick or something like crazy like that. Then you're like, okay. Then if someone forces your hand,
sorry,
then
Diontae,
they can make the move. Like,
see ya.
Hey, I know you want to stay here, but
they really want you. Trust me, they're going to take care of you.
They really want you. That's the big question that I have to have. If he hems and haws, or it's like, I'm not entirely sure, I got to do what's best for me, then you know what? Let's do right by you. We're going to trade you to a contender or something along those lines. Because what's the point of keeping him if you're not in playoff contention as a Panthers, and he's not going to be with you next year? What is he doing?
Here's the hard part for me. If I'm Diontae Johnson, I'm not sure it's in my best interest to be honest with that answer.
That's a fair point.
Because he's cooking right now. I mean, he's catching touchdowns every week since Andy Dalton showed up. He's getting a ton of targets. He's had opportunities for big plays, and he knows this offseason is his cash in, right? His offseason upcoming is the big, like, hey, let me play the market, let me make the life-changing money. And it's really the last time he's going to get that kind of big, fantastic deal. If he's playing well and he's getting stats, do you want to be here? Oh, I feel like if I say no, they're going to trade me. And who knows what my stats are going to look like on team. Mm-hmm. I know here I'm going to put up stats, and that's going to be very good for me. I'd love to stay. Then you get to the offseason, and it's like, I said I'd love to stay right now. I didn't say I wanted to commit to the future. Mm-hmm. So it's I guess maybe you have to know your relationship with your wide receiver. You have to figure out if you guys do have the type of, hey, be honest with me, look me in the eye, I'm not going to mess you over here, tell me.
Like, I mean, if you think he has of some value in terms of like what his dollar amount is, put a contract in front of him.
Ooh, the extension?
Like, put the extension in front of him. And he's like, I don't want to sign that right now. Then, okay, then you can move on. You're like, hey, we tried.
All right. I mean, what about Adam Thielen?
I think you keep Thielen.
Really?
I would actually keep Thielen because he's still got 1 year left on his deal. But I think whomever you bring in at quarterback next year, whether it's you try it again with Bryce or you try it again with someone else, that's the guy I would want to have on my team to be the veteran presence in the locker room.
35 next year, 34 this year.
Still getting it done.
Well, kind of.
Well, I mean, up until he got hurt.
I'm also in my early to mid 30s, and anytime I run, I pop my hammy too.
Hey, I'm 38 years old, and I can still skate beer league hockey.
I popped my hammy for the first time at 16 years old. So maybe it's just a hammy thing.
Speaking of wide receivers, Davante Adams, the wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders, has informed the team that he would like to be traded. And then this is Adam Schefter actually posted this a little bit ago on X, saying Raiders have informed other teams that they would consider, quotes, trading wide receiver Davante Adams for a package that would include a second-round pick and additional compensation.
To me, that means you ain't getting a second for Diontae. If you're getting a second-rounder for Davante,
yes.
Diontae ain't bringing back a second-rounder, so you'd probably have to settle for something, maybe even a decent amount less than that. I have another little bit of news for Panther fans here.
Okay.
Panthers are signing.
Go on.
Former Tennessee Titans cornerback Caleb Farley, per league source of Joe Person, who covers the team, and Jordan Schultz reported first. The Titans cut Farley, who was a former, I think, 11th pick. He was a top half of the first pick. Former first-round pick. They cut him in August. He is also a Charlotte native, I believe.
Yeah, Maiden, which is kind of just north of Charlotte.
He's dealt with a ton his early part of his career.
He was the 22nd pick in 2021.
See, I thought it was earlier than that. Oh, you know who it was? His teammate, same year. They both went to Virginia Tech. Christian Darrisaw out there with Minnesota. Really good tackle. But either way, I covered him in college. His sophomore year was as good as I've seen corner played at the ACC level. Then he sat out a year for COVID. Then he was drafted 22nd overall. Then he had injuries. He had, I believe he blew out his knees, had back problems. He had a tragedy in his life where I think his dad was in a house that Caleb had bought him, and it exploded.
Like a gas explosion?
Yeah, something very, very tragic, very, very difficult to deal with. And that was actually, I think, in North Carolina.
It was.
So if you can get him back to the potential he showed as a sophomore in college, you just got a massive steal. If you obviously get the player who the Titans were comfortable cutting and nobody picked up for the last few months, that's probably, depth piece, special teams piece at best. But they are signing him. So, another chance for him to prove that potential is there for a reason. One more reminder here before I have a few other things to tell you. Our friends and neighbors need help after Hurricane Helene, and we're stepping up. Tomorrow, 99.9 The Fan will be joining WRAL for an all-day telethon from noon to 7:30 p.m. Call in during the telethon from noon to 7:30, and you can donate to aid recovery efforts across North Carolina. Together, we can make a difference. To make an immediate $10 donation to support American Red Cross efforts in Western Carolina, text Helene, spelled HELENE, to 90999. Before we move on, Tim Donnelly here for Bailey's Fine Jewelry in Raleigh, right there at their Village District location. Matter of fact, you want to head out to that Village District location coming up on October 11th and 12th for an extraordinary Rolex event. I mean, that right there just heard everybody's ears perk up. Whether you're a seasoned watch collector or a first-time buyer, this is a watch show you cannot afford to miss. Bailey's pre-owned Rolex show will feature styles like the Daytona, the Submariner, iconic collector pieces like Pepsi and the Hulk. Those are colorways that everybody's going to know. Batman, root beer, if you know, you know, I guess, on some of these. But mark your calendar for Friday, October 11th and Saturday, October 12th, and make your way to Bailey's Fine Jewelry in their Raleigh Village District location. You can learn more at baileybox.com. When you have a Rolex event like this, you're going to see things you can't get anywhere else. They already, just on the normal, have the widest selection of pre-owned and vintage Rolexes in North Carolina. What do you think they're going to have in store for an extraordinary pre-owned Rolex event? Yeah. Let your imagination run wild with that one. It's all coming up. Bailey's Fine Jewelry, Raleigh's Village District location, October 11th and 12th. I almost said we'll take a break, but we can't do that because we need some numbers game contestants. The winner of the numbers game will win a pair of tickets to the SAS Championship. It's Champions Tour at Prestonwood Country Club. Similar days, Friday, October 11th to Sunday, October 13th. You'll have access to the exclusive Mellow Mushroom Chill Club on the 17th green for one day of your choice. You're just going to have to pick which day you'd like to attend. To earn the right to pick which day you get those tickets, you have to win the numbers game. So call in now. We need two contestants. The number to call, 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326. The numbers game is coming up next.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
Jordan Moore delivers, and the Blue Devils have the lead.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford and by Amedios.
Our state's future begins with our students. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery has contributed over $10 billion to education. Through scholarships, school construction, support staff, and pre-K programs, lottery dollars move our state forward, helping students become the best versions of themselves. Visit movingncstudentsforward.com and share how your student or school community has benefited for a chance to earn $2,000 for your story. Must be 18 to play. Problem Gambling Helpline 877-718-5543.
With Wendy's, breakfast burrito is everything you want for breakfast. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, bacon or sausage, all rolled up into one warm tortilla. Want the boss of breakfast burritos? Gotta be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double hot, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Hey, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Well, I do now.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
Did you say you're cutting me off?
You earn, we match. Unlimited cashback match. See terms at discover.com/credit.
Martha was ready to switch to a career in IT.
There's always a need for IT specialists, especially with AI coming out and cybersecurity. It's practically recession-proof.
She heard an ad for My Computer Career and jumped in feet first.
Taking exams and getting certified in a matter of just months.
Even better, you can work from anywhere.
Wherever you are. If you're on vacation, you can still clock in. I work out of my house in my pajamas.
My Computer Career even provides job placement help.
The career specialists, they're very helpful. They care about you as a person. You're not just a number to them.
Launch a new high-demand career in IT or level up with more certifications. Build a career in record time with less money.
I would recommend My Computer Career wholeheartedly to anyone. Indeed, it was the right move for me.
Take the free career evaluation today. Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time to play the numbers game. The winner will receive a pair of tickets to the SAS Championship at Prestonwood Country Club. Not this weekend, but next weekend, with access to the Mellow Mushroom Chill Club on the 17th green. So, the contestants for today are John in Raleigh and Josh in Wake Forest. We'll start with John in Raleigh, and as always, we have to ask a question to see who goes first. We pick our favorite answer. This one might be a little tough, but hopefully you can think on your feet a little bit here. We were just talking about Dikembe Mutombo passing away yesterday, 58 years old, brain cancer. In addition to all of his philanthropic and basketball exploits, he was known for what I consider one of the best celebrations in sports, the finger wag after he blocks your shot. No, 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 no. So outside of, like, spiking the ball, like, I want something that is connected to a person. What person had the best signature celebration in sports? Take that in any direction you want to go, and we're going to pick our favorite answer. John and Raleigh, you're up first. What person, player, athlete had the best signature celebration in sports?
I have to go with the dab by Cam Newton.
Dab by Cam Newton. That is a topical, or a local, I should say, answer. Solid answer, John. Way to think on your feet. Let's go to Josh in Wake Forest. Josh, we're going to throw the same question at you in honor of Dikembe Mutombo's no, 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 no. Who had the best signature celebration in sports?
Oh, man, he's got me on this one because I'm not going to go North Carolina, but the only thing I can think of, like, off the top of my head is when Antonio Brown just ran through the end zone and just attacked the goalpost.
When he slid down the goalpost like a fireman pole?
He literally just jumped and wrapped around it. Like, how did you not hurt yourself doing that?
All right. You know what? That I'm not the one that picks. Dennis is. You kind of backed into playing to the judge, though, because he is a Steelers fan. So, Dennis, who gets the win?
I got to go Cam with the dab because that was like a consistent, he did it all the time. That or the Superman. Yeah, Cam with the dab was a good one.
I think the Superman is actually the better answer there, but dab was also good.
Both great answers, though.
John and Raleigh, you get to go first. Don't worry, though, Josh and Wake Forest, you'll still have your chance to compete. John, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, here are the categories you get to choose from. NFL, Yo Tony, all players whose first name is Tony. NFL, Take the L, all players whose last names start with the letter L. NBA, current players only, or NHL, Canes and Whalers only?
Can I do NFL, Tony?
Yep, NFL, all players with the first name Tony. I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
No, I'm good.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Tony Romo, Dallas Cowboys.
9.
Correct. Tony Gonzalez, Atlanta Falcons.
88.
Correct. Tony Pollard, Tennessee Titans.
20.
Correct. Tony Baselli, Jacksonville Jaguars.
71.
Correct. Tony Saragusa, Baltimore Ravens.
92.
Incorrect. Tony Saragusa, Baltimore Ravens.
97.
Incorrect. Tony Saragusa, Baltimore Ravens.
98.
Correct. We got a perfect score. When you started with 92 on Saragusa, I was worried you were going to go 92, 93, 94, and I knew 98 was a long way away. So you jumped up there. You ended up getting it right. Congratulations. That is a perfect score. Dennis, how much time are we looking at?
28 seconds.
28. So that you may not have gotten a full other guess. But that is beatable also. We've seen a lot of our perfect scores be faster than 28. So Josh in Wake Forest has a chance. Josh, are you there?
Oh, I'm here.
All right. The categories remaining for you to choose from, granted, we all do know the task that is stacked in front of you. NFL Take the L, all NFL players with last names that start with the letter L. NBA current players only, or NHL Canes and Whalers only?
I'm going to take the L because I'm pretty sure I'm going to take the L. So let's go.
At least you're solid puns, right? At least you're very punny. I'll give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need it. You need to get all answers correct in less than 28 seconds for the win. Any question before we get started?
Nope, let's do it.
All right, your time will start when you hear the horn. Sam Laporta, Detroit Lions.
80.
Incorrect. Xavier Legette, Carolina Panthers.
83.
Incorrect. Sam Laporta, Detroit Lions.
Pass.
Ty Law, New England Patriots.
80.
Incorrect. Xavier Legette, Carolina Panthers.
81.
Incorrect. Sam Laporta, Detroit Lions.
Wow, he's a tight end. God, 88.
Incorrect. Ty Law, New England Patriots.
Yep.
The cards were stacked against you. It was going to be tough. That is an offer. I think the pressure put on you by the perfect score may have got to you a little bit. Sam Laporta with 87. So you ended up getting within one. Xavier Legette, the rookie wide receiver for the Panthers, number 17. Ty Law with the New England Patriots, which I did call the New York Patriots once. He wore number 24, the Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, not enough for the win. You didn't get any, but hopefully you had a good time.
Oh, no, I love you guys. Best show in the world.
Thank you. And also, at least we have the fun times of your pun to look back on.
Hey, there we go.
There you go. That brings us to John in Raleigh. John, congratulations. Perfect score.
Thank you, man.
What'd you say there?
I said thank you. Love the show. I'm excited to watch some people that are better than me at golf.
All right. There you go. Appreciate it. Go ahead and stay on the line. Dennis will get the info to make sure you get your tickets, which is what he was referencing with the golf line there. Because by winning today, he won a pair of tickets to the SAS Championship, the Champions Tour event, at Prestonwood Country Club from Friday, October 11th to Sunday, October 13th. He'll have access to the exclusive Mellow Mushroom Chill Club on the 17th green for one day of his choice. Just has to pick which day he'd like to attend. That's a good prize. Champions Tour is awesome. That's a like I said, that is a very good prize. Do want to remind or just kind of revisit real quickly here. Caleb Farley, cut by the Titans, a former first-round pick cornerback, has signed with the Panthers as of earlier today, according to Joe Person and Jordan Schultz, a couple of guys that cover the team and the league. So it is a opportunity for him to reclaim some of the potential he showed in his college and obviously pre-draft career. He was one of the guys that got caught up in the COVID years and missed and injuries and things. But as I said earlier, if he can live up to his expectations and his potential from his sophomore year at Virginia Tech, Panthers got themselves one. I've been wanting them to pick him up for a while. I also want to remind everybody to text keyword GREEN, GREEN, to 919-860-5326 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Riley Green at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on June 14th. Green is the key word that you need to text in. The number is 919-860-5326 to enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Riley Green in mid-June. Before we move on, and there's, I think, something super interesting coming to North Carolina high school sports that I want to touch on to close the show. Before we do that, here's Dennis Cox.
Hey, Dennis Cox here with my friends over at Loan Pronto. Lower mortgage rates are finally here, folks, and thanks to our good friends over at the Fed and Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.59% APR, the lowest in 2 years. Now, whether you got your loan last month or last year, it's time to give Loan Pronto a call and dump that high-rate loan. You can lock in a lower rate fast with virtually no paperwork and usually no appraisal. There's no limit on how many times you can refi. So get started. Use this opportunity to get cash out and wipe out your credit cards. You can do a cash out refi. Get 50, 75, 100 grand or more out of your home. Use that to pay off all your high interest debt and end up with just one low monthly payment. If you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Purchase loans available as well. So call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. VA Streamline loans are also available with Loan Pronto. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
North Carolina high school athletes, you're allowed to get paid, and there's nothing anyone can say about it. Stick around. That's coming up next.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. For all the inside information on your team, join me and my co-host, WRAL TV's Chris Lee, for our podcast, Panthers Playbook, presented by Carolina Ford Dealers. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on your Panthers, and we'll do it with access only we can provide. Locker room insight, exclusive interviews, and in-depth looks at every Panthers game. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news.
Hey everybody, Paul Ihander here from 99.9 The Fan for FanDuel. NFL Week 5, it's here. And you can start with a chance for a big win on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're new to FanDuel, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Think about a single game parlay for the Thursday night football game. We have Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Baker Mayfield, over 250 passing yards. Drake London, over 100 receiving yards. And a Bijan Robinson anytime touchdown. I need you, though, to visit FanDuel.com/Paul. Paul with a capital P, and make every moment more this season. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM. or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
The final shot at the Championship 4 comes down to a track that's been here from day one. Martinsville. NASCAR Playoffs weekend at Martinsville Speedway. November 1st through the 3rd. Get your tickets now at martinsvillespeedway.com.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we jump into a high school sports development here in the state of North Carolina, I do want to remind everybody, tomorrow we're going to be doing everything we can to help out our neighbors in the areas affected by Hurricane Helene. They need our help, and we're trying to step up. Tomorrow, 99.9 The Fan, the station you're listening to, will be joining WRAL for an all-day telethon beginning at noon and going to 7:30 p.m. You'll be able to call in and donate to aid recovery efforts across North Carolina. Together, we can make a difference. To make an immediate $10 donation, if you want to do so right now or prior to the telethon beginning at noon tomorrow, to make an immediate $10 donation to support American Red Cross efforts in Western North Carolina, text Helene, that's HELENE, just that word, to the number 90999. That's Helene as a keyword. Text it to 90999. And again, the telethon begins at noon tomorrow for those of you interested. There was a development in high school football, high school sports earlier today in the state of North Carolina that will make some of the old school sports fans a little uneasy. The government restrictions on NIL money for high school athletes in the state of North Carolina, gonzo, dunzo. And shout out to the guys, the reporters, I should say, over at High School OT. You can check it out. That's another group under the umbrella of Capital Broadcasting Company.
Yeah, go to highschoolot.com. They got tons of stuff out there for you.
It is, and not just on like the NIL stuff. There's just an absurd amount of high school coverage and resources for high school sports in the state. I do think it's interesting, high school athletes getting paid for a few reasons. One, I think this affects a very small amount of players.
I mean, we're talking like probably 10 to a dozen people.
But I don't think it's an insignificant amount of money.
No.
I think those 10 to 15, whatever you want to call it, could end up making a decent amount of money. But the part that I find that you still have to, like, these like lowering of restrictions a lot of times just open up more questions that don't have answers. Does this mean collectives can? Because say you are a collective that supports, I'll use Tennessee as an example just because they seem to be getting all of the North Carolina in-state recruits to go to Tennessee recently. Mm-hmm. Does it make verbal commitments almost more real? Because now it's like, hey, if you commit as a sophomore, we'll give you $500 a month until you make it on campus. But with this money comes an official commitment that you're going to make it on campus, that you're not going to flip and go to somewhere else. I don't know if that's going to be legal under the new situation or not. I don't know if the contracts are going to be limited. I don't know. And again, you can read all up about it on highschoolot.com. But what I do know is, like, and depending on which recruiting resource you look at, Faison Brandon is the number one recruit in his class. Like, not the number one in the state of North Carolina, not the number one in his position. Certain evaluators have him as the number one recruit in the country.
That is the quarterback at Grimsley High School in Greensboro.
I imagine there's a decent, and he's, by the way, the one, he and his family and his representation are the ones that have kind of spearheaded this movement to make NIL fully wide open in the state.
If I remember correctly, they filed a lawsuit.
I believe they did as well. I imagine the market for his services at the next level and quite lucrative. I mean, if I have to say it, even though I hope everybody knows it by now, I have no problem with kids making money. I have absolutely no problem with kids making money because there's no limits on kids making money in any other, like if Faison Brandon put out a pop record and it went to #1 on TikTok and YouTube, he would get the proceeds from being a musician. If he patented, I see kids go on Shark Tank all the time, and they're like, I started this business when I was in middle school, and now I am up to in revenue. And guess what? When Mark Cuban says, I'll give you $300,000 for 30% of your business, they get to keep that $300,000. So I never got why athletes were different. So you can scream and yell about, well, who's going to protect the athlete? You can scream and yell about, what are they going to know about taxes? Or, like now they're only going for the money. And I'm just going to yell back. I mean, hopefully they still have people in their lives that can keep them grounded and people in their lives that can teach them those things.
You would hope.
But if not, like there's no limits on what anyone else can make. So why are you considering athletes less capable of making those decisions than others? That was one of the frustrations that I had when I was a college athlete, because we weren't allowed to make any money. Matter of fact, if I went to the sandwich shop across the street from the stadium and they gave me a free sandwich and I didn't report it, and then somehow the NCAA found out about it, which is unlikely, but if they did, I would have been ineligible. They were that stingy with eligibility.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember going like, wait a second. I'm in class with someone that has a part-time job waiting tables. They get to keep their money. I have a class with a music elective with somebody who's trying to make it in music, and if they hit, they get to keep their money. I don't get any money, and everybody tells me it's because athletes are going to spend it improperly. They're not going to pay their taxes. They're not ready. And I'm going, all right, let's say all 19-year-olds aren't ready for it then. Let's not just say, hey, the athletes are stupid and they won't pay their taxes. Musicians are smart, and they will. Like it's I always felt it that way. So as long as high schoolers are allowed to go get part-time jobs, as long as high schoolers are allowed to drive Uber, as long as high schoolers are allowed to go bus tables, I think athletes should be able to get paid for their name, image, and likeness.
I know for me, as an athlete, I had an on-campus job. And it was with our athletic department working with the sports information department, and I worked. Yep. And I got paid to do work. And I think there's also, you look at maybe, sure, you mentioned like the high-profile athlete, but what if there's like a smaller town in somewhere in North Carolina where there's like a local like star high school athlete and a local restaurant was just like, hey, if you come here and you eat, we'll pay for your food as long as you post on social media once a week saying, you love to come here and eat. This is my favorite place to go, after games or after, victories on Saturdays after a football game. That's considered name, image, likeness as well. Like, why can't you do that?
Like, I don't think my high school, actually, my first high school would have changed a bunch. That's where I played with Manti Te'o and a few, he was one of the top 2 recruits in the country. He would have had opportunities out there in Hawaii. My second high school that I went to, I don't think it would have changed much. We had like a rich dad that paid for the entire team's meal every Thursday. I'm sure he would have posted a picture of us eating at that restaurant and gotten a little bit off his tab. But like food was all free to me. That was just a dad that had, wanted to be the team dad or whatever. I think those opportunities could develop. Again, we're talking about like 10 people per state per year making anything above pocket change. But why not? Like I don't see why it was limited and now it's not. I think it's good, but I do think there's going to be more questions. I think what constitutes an NIL deal, what constitutes pay for play, what constitutes some kind of quid pro quo, what constitutes a legitimate NIL deal. Do you need an agent? Do agents have to be registered? Because you're seeing that's a problem with NIL in college.
Yeah.
Is the NFL has an extremely, extremely stringent vetting process for agents. The college doesn't, so you're seeing a lot of overwhelmed, overmatched, maybe not straight up and down like 6 o'clock NIL agents for college athletes that aren't taking care of their clients and are lining their own pockets nicely. So there's
that is like if they want to establish that, the state does, in terms of you have to be a registered agent, have to be a certain level of whatever.
Have to have a law degree in a lot of cases.
I'm 100% okay with that. 100% okay with that.
It's just there's more questions than answers right now, but the one answer that we did get, I think, is the right one, which is, sure, if someone wants to pay a bunch of money, let them pay a bunch of money. If you want to have the point guards from the 2 local high schools in a car dealership commercial, Say, with the guy that plays for the red team has a red Corolla. The guy that plays for the blue team has a blue Corolla. Go nuts. Give them a lease on a car for their senior year. Like, let that kind of stuff happen naturally because it makes sense, right? And it's not limited in any other place on the high school campus.
I was thinking, you mentioned about collectives, college that are linked with colleges, because I know there's, like recruiting inducements and there are different things. The rules are changing with that. I also think of the fact that if I'm, let's say you mentioned Tennessee, and I'm recruiting a top player from North Carolina. I know we got a couple minutes left here, but because these are minors, how do state laws impact, like if I'm a collective in Tennessee paying someone that's in another state that's a minor? Like, these are all different things that have to be taken into consideration too.
And again, some of this may already be answered. It was a developing story this afternoon, broke kind of right before our show. So you can go highschoolot.com. That group of a bunch of the guys that work on high school OT you can see them from our cubicles. So they were having a busy day this afternoon. So go read that hard work. It's at highschoolot.com. And we'll continue to talk about it as those answers take place, and as different guys commit to different places. Maybe there is something to develop. Could the state do this? Now things are percolating. Only collectives from in-state can pay high school athletes. Any money coming from outside, no good. That way, State, Duke, Carolina, App State, ECU, they can start paying guys like junior year.
Yeah.
Get a little head start on the recruiting trail for some younger guys. And yes, I hear everyone that grew up watching college football going, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. Well, to quote, I'm sure this isn't where it came from, but the first time I heard it, Brad Pitt in Moneyball, put your arms out wide and say, adapt or die. Got to figure out a way. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Coming up next, we have Overdrive, where we start by updating our Def Canales rating, right? Like Def Canales 1, Def Canales 5. How concerned? What's the threat level for the coach of the Carolina Panthers? So that's going to start things off on Overdrive. Tomorrow, we'll have a Hump Day edition of The Drive, so be around here about 3 o'clock for that. We also have the telethon beginning at noon to help out our neighbors in the western part of the state. Other than that, have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
The Blue Devils